I changed up the order. Why? Because I wanted to.
Why?
And because, quite frankly, Mr. Talented never gets to be in the top row, and I would like him to be in the top row for once. So
now my face is going to be hidden.
Well, is that better?
No. No, I'll scoot over. There we go.
Okay, fine, David. Anyway, welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality. And you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy, say something gay. Gay, a.k.a. for the time being, I have changed my Twitter name. It is not currently a Say Something Gay Gay. It is Kiona Revlon Stan account. Go watch our Drag Race France cast assessment. Today, we are drinking water as always. Hydration, very important, especially because Brandon is not here. I'm also drinking some Breathe Right tea because I'm sick. And it's been a rough fucking day. But I'm here, so we're going to do our best to sound decent and not horrible and make it through this without coughing up a lung.
Woo, no coughing up a lung. Woo, woo.
King.
Work. Hello, guys. It is me. It is I, Mr. Talented, your favorite guy. And today, as usual, I'm drinking a generic glass of water sponsored by Mother Let Loose, Sila Duca, of course, because hydration and being generic is very important, you know?
Wait,
so, yeah.
David, don't you dare go, because I have a surprise.
Where?
You have the Let Loose button.
You had a chance to use it finally.
I wasn't here last week. I uploaded it in last week, I think, and I wasn't here, so we have a Let Loose button.
Do you have the Kasha Untucked reaction image uploaded yet?
Yes, we do. I'm pretty sure.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, we sure do.
There it is.
Yes.
But now, whenever we need to, you can let loose.
Well, I am David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I've got a Diabetes shirt on today.
Let's go,
I wonder why I wore a Diabetes shirt. Couldn't be because of the lip sync assassin.
We will talk at length about that icon, but
and I'm drinking water.
Because you remembered.
I did.
Hello, everyone. I am back. I am Eve the Bunny. I am the established, unestablished, professional, but kind of messy drag queen that you should know about, even if you don't know about me, from Chicago, Illinois. And I am drinking, again for the second time, Arizona black and white tea. It's delicious. It helps me feel connected to my black and white ancestry. I don't have any white ancestry.
That's the thesis.
Thank you.
You know, it is I, Brook, aka the Brook Hogan of the Cup. I am so delighted to be in your presence, finally, in my new apartment that I've been talking about ad nauseum for the past, 4 videos I've been in. And also, I'm a queer college graduate who plays way too much fucking Smash Bros. For the past week or so, I have been playing WWE 2K23 because I need to beat the female career mode. So there you go. And as you can see from my headline, I miss Heidi. We'll get into that. And of course, to round out the eclectic group of drinks, I am also drinking generic water sponsored by Miss. Press the button.
I'm just gonna have to have the let loose button just up at all times, is what I'm learning.
You added the button. This is your fault.
Oh, I know. It's very dangerous, and I'm currently the only one that can use it.
Maybe you should let loose on that button.
Okay, that's enough letting loose for the time
That's
being.
yeah.
Well, I'll do it again when Heidi lets loose and leaves. It's All Stars 8. It's episode 5. God,
And my expectations are 0.
This
Things
season is
have
going
happened.
downhill.
Things have happened. People were killed.
Well,
Someone died, David. Someone died.
No one was killed.
No
No
one
one.
died.
No one. No
no
one
one
died.
was killed
No
at
one died.
Stonewall?
No one died.
No.
I'm so happy we all collectively got that.
Selena wasn't Puerto Rican. She was Mexican. J-Lo was Puerto Rican.
And James just came out as Mexicana, so...
Jinx?
No, James.
James.
Oh,
yes.
Oh, did y'all not see that from Roscoe's? At the Roscoe's viewing party this week, it was Selena and I'm so sorry, Lucy LaDuca. Neither of which looked like themselves. Let's be honest. I'm like, so we've gotten work done in the interim. Good to know. And they were all talking, and it was Naysha, Selena, and Carmel DeVille, and they were all like, "Oh yeah, James just came out as Mexican." I'm like, I mean, I've known, but that's just because I followed James for the entire time since season 9. But
Did James not literally introduce themselves on season 9 as a Tejana from Wisconsin? Or am I forgetting?
that was on the first runway. That is correct.
Yeah, so like
But-
this is not news.
I
to
thought
Like,
that
she
anyone.
meant
looks
she
like a
was
white
a
woman.
Texan.
But then she immediately went home, and we didn't see her for like 5 years. So
And then
No,
I
she did
didn't- I didn't-
somersault.
I was
and
like-
then
I was
went
like-
to leave.
I was like, I didn't remember that. I don't remember what she wore when she walked in.
See, I'm just the president of the Jaymes Mansfield Stan Club, so
We know.
we move. Eve did
I
not
understand
know.
that. I understand
does
that.
not.
I understand.
She wore a shittier version, basically, of what she entered into All Stars 8 with.
Which is usually how they go from regular season to All Stars anyway. It's like, oh, this is what you should have wore the first time.
Yeah. But Eve,
Except for
welcome to
Monet
All Stars
Exchange.
coverage. We're happy to have you here.
Yay.
Go check out our first video with Eve when we did Drag Race France. More reference to Drag Race France. But Eve, thoughts on the first 4 episodes of the season so far? Give us your thoughts and ideas and feelings.
3 main things I will say. One, I'm not hugely a fan of the fame game, to be honest with you. Just because I feel like that there's been so much happening with the fans being very volatile towards contestants on the show, regardless of how they place or how they do because of their fave, or someone beats someone or someone sends someone home, and to basically make it kind of like a glorified popularity contest and put that all in the hands of the fans. I'm just kind of like, well, they're not going to be fair about this. They're going to be more biased about it. So I don't know if it's fully doing what you want for it to achieve in the long run. I feel like that maybe you should just let them still be spectators and not get it to a point where they also now have a hand in if these queens get money or not. That's just me. The season, I think the cast was a really awesomely rounded out cast of people, like a good amount of girls from like some of the past seasons, and then some newer girls that we've already seen and kind of fell in love with, a good mix of people. I was extremely happy to see Monica. We actually had a little joke about this, so we can implement this if you want to. I have a bad habit of name dropping drag queens that I know because I know a lot of them. So whenever I name drop a queen, take a drink. So get ready. So I'm friends with Monica Beverly Hillz. And she didn't let me know that she was going to be on All Stars. So I was extremely, extremely excited when the promo came out and I saw her on it. And me, honestly, in the back of my, in the deepest part of my heart, if I could actively just give the fame game prize to anybody, I'd give it to Monica. But this season, I feel like it's just been very weirdly produced when it comes to what some queens are showing and what the judges are responding to, as opposed to what other queens are showing and the judges are not responding to or not paying as much attention to. It just seems kind of weird. And I mean, it all kind of really lit up to, I feel like, this kind of like volcanic thing that happened with Heidi on this episode. And, that's how it all kind of petered out. And I really think that that's so unfortunate because it was this competition for me has always been one of those kind of things that's been able to help me as a drag queen learn about other drag queens and grow with my drag and show off more of what I can do. And you know what I mean? Feel like I'm part of the microcosm of the whole thing. And I know it can be kind of weird and alienating when you get there and it starts getting too TV. And, you know, like, you're like, I thought these were my sisters. I thought these were people I went on tour with and hung out with. And now everything seems like a storyline that's set up. And so I would be the same way. I'd be like, I kind of want to pull myself out of this space because it's not giving me what I thought it was going to. So yeah. I love Heidi. I as well am I Miss Heidi person. We all send our love out to Heidi, and I wish her the best. And yeah.
We'll talk a little bit more about it when we get to that point in the episode, because there's a lot of factors that end up leading to that. But we come back into the workroom. We have just lost the cool, refreshing waters of Darienne Lake. I'm sad as well. I really thought she would have done better. However, with that being said, this cast is all great.
I will just say, I didn't really talk about it that much last week because we were already running a little long. So
I know.
I'm gonna keep it short. I'm gonna keep it cute. Darienne Lake is one of my top 5 favorite drag queens in the world. I love her to pieces. I am so happy she got to come back on the show, even if it was for this brief period of time. And thank you for just putting so much good into the universe. You as well. We talked about Kasha, but you do a lot too. So I love you both.
Yeah. And speaking of people that we love, oh no. Oh, there she is. It's Lana.
Yay.
Hey.
Oh, hello. Sorry for my tardiness. You know.
Don't worry. We spent an hour off screen talking shit. So I was like, Lana's not going to miss all that much. And we literally just started talking about the episode. So,
yeah.
Oh, well then. Hello.
Yes!
Oh my god.
I'm about to say I'm gonna do it since I didn't get to do it. Hello, I am Lana, the resident diva, here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. And you know, and I don't have my cup because it's wash day, so I was washing my dishes. But you know what to do. Get that merch. You know what to do. It's in the link below. Yep.
And go to sleep.
And period. It says give it to God and go to sleep.
Yes.
Shop at ronagcreations.etsy.com.
All of that.
What?
I needed a whole hell of a lot of tea today, but I actually have tea. So
period.
It's breathe right tea.
The door and came and jumped on. So here we go.
But yes.
Go ahead.
So Darienne is gone. We get the voting, and we find out it was a unanimous vote for Darienne to go.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, of course, darling.
I kind of actually want to ask a quick question of the panel. Who would you guys have voted to go home? Since this is my first time jumping in for All Stars, who would you have voted to go home from last week? Between was it Darienne and Jaymes and Alexis?
Alexis.
Yeah.
I would have pulled all 3 of their lipsticks.
Based off of the challenge, I would have said Alexis did the worst in that challenge out of that group. But based on overall track record, it was clearly Darienne. So I probably would have done Darienne, but with a little side eye at Alexis, just as I did it.
Mm-hmm.
No, I would have voted for Darienne. But they were my 3 least favorites, so I wasn't going to be mad no matter what happened.
Okay. Oh, go ahead.
No, you can go on. Go ahead.
Honestly, I probably would have voted for Alexis because Alexis has been boring me this entire time with her runway, and I have not been impressed. It's very safe Alexis. It's been like, beautiful gowns. Sure, great, lovely. What else you got? And that's all we've been getting from Alexa was beautiful gowns. So for me, and with the performance in that challenge, for me it would have been Alexa because I'm like, you ain't been giving me nothing that I been looking for this season. Darienne at least was funny in that challenge and at least had me laughing a little bit. Alexis did nothing for me. And then her runway track record for me has just been boring. So that's just me personally.
Ooh.
Yeah. For me, I can justify voting for all three of them under different circumstances depending on how I feel that day. So, based off of who did the worst in that group, and because I think she would be competition, I could justify voting for Alexis. I can also justify voting for Darienne, obviously, because of track record. And then I would pick Jaymes just because I feel like the judges enjoy her. So, it depends on how I'm feeling that day, you know?
I do have some tea for Lana. I have been keeping up with our average scores for runways.
Mhm.
And your average score for Alexis is about twice as high as it is for Darienne.
I mean, I'm not. Look, I don't deny her runway is better than Darienne, but
Yeah.
still boring. It's
I
just
agree,
the
yes.
same thing. It's
At least
Darienne is
It's safe.
taking
Very
risks.
safe.
Darienne is taking risk and it's not paying off. But Alexis is not even taking a risk. It's just safe, beautiful ball gown, safe, beautiful gown the entire time.
I
I
concur.
can see that. I can see that. I can see that.
But I still
think-
love that blueberry dress.
I do too.
Oh, that's very
Oh, and we'll
gorgeous.
talk about her runway this week because
We will talk about her runway this week. Okay.
I screamed. And there's a reason why. It's because it's not the first time I've seen this garment. We'll talk about it.
It was great, but we'll talk about it.
In this universe, though, I will also answer the question. In this universe, Darienne would have unfortunately gone home last week based off of track record. If I'm choosing, I would have sent Darienne home over Kasha, which means that Kasha would be in this scenario, which means I probably would have voted. If it's them as the bottom three, probably Kasha or Alexis. I don't know. It's one of those scenarios, but
I'd keep Kasha out of that group.
Kasha, Kasha is above everyone. I don't care who it fucking is.
we know.
We do.
There's
Yeah,
always time for kindness.
We understand that, Brooke. We get that.
Yeah, Logan, I kind of agree with you. I feel like that I'm living in that same world where, for me personally, I would have had Darienne go home over Kasha originally. So Kasha would have been the person in this scenario instead of Darienne. But then in that instance, then I probably would have sent Jaymes home
Sure.
because I do like what Alexis is doing, and I think like Kasha was a little bit slept on for a minute. Not much so for her runways, but in the challenges, I feel like she wasn't really highlighted as much for what she was doing.
Well,
So
and
Jaymes kind of became the flatline person out of the three.
and we've talked about it at length. I still will defend the point that I think Kasha Davis should have won RDR Live.
Yeah.
Damn
That's mainly it. I was like, she did really good in that.
She did
Like,
great.
If we're
wasn't
not taking
even
runway
high.
into account.
Yes.
Because that runway wasn't.
Okay, but even then, she should have at least been high.
Yes, I agree.
yeah,
wasn't
because was
even
she
high.
safe or was she? She was
She was
safe.
safe.
Yeah, she was safe.
She was safe. Yeah, she was safe, and then obviously eliminated. But so we come into the workroom the next day. We're here. We're doing things. RuPaul walks in, and we find out that it's Snatch Game of Love.
Oh.
Snatch Game of Love. I don't like this format. However, I will say this Snatch Game of Love gave me my single favorite round of 4 people that I've ever seen in a Snatch Game of Love, and we'll talk about it. Because I thought there was one of the 2 groups that did astronomically better than the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know this is where I'm going to fight with David, because David and I have already talked about this. I'm going to fight you on it. But it's
okay.
because you don't know the characters, David Healy.
I didn't know another character that I loved. So
Okay, great.
Well, let's talk
But,
about it.
Yes.
well, I
let's
want to bring
dish.
up our multiple time a year discussion of who would we all do on Snatch Game.
Oh, Jesus Lord.
Jesus God.
I have said multiple times, I have no fucking clue who I would do on Snatch Game. However, if I did have to empirically pick one person, I would probably do Macho Man Randy Savage, just because I feel like it's an over-the-top character that has an easy gimmick.
Okay.
Well,
I can see that.
There's one person that I've always had in the back of my mind that I would possibly do a Snatch Game, but I know that apparently I don't know. I mean, the rules have been changing over the past couple of years because at first I thought you couldn't do characters, but then they have been letting some people get away with doing characters or just making up
on the
people.
season, honestly.
Yeah, or just making up whole people like St. Patrick's sister and stuff like that. But anyway,
Top of the morning to you, Eve.
I was like, but I honestly feel like that if I was given that free license to do somebody that wasn't a living celebrity and they were a character or something, I would probably go with Medea.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was someone I had in the back of my mind for a while that I felt like that you could just play up the extraness of Medea just being goofy and unruly and taking over the situation and it would just work out really well. So I was like, I feel like that one I could, if I just go balls to the wall with it, it'll land. You know what I mean?
See, on that similar token, one of my main choices is also a character. I would want to do Miranda Sings.
Okay.
Because I think Miranda, because she's been brought up several times. There are multiple people who have brought. I think there's 2 people that have brought Miranda Sings. If I remember correctly, I believe it's Ariel Versace and River Medway.
Only one of them is good with that.
Yeah.
I feel like I know.
I don't know if anybody else had ever brought it. And then my other choice is actually a panelist from Match Game because I grew up watching Match Game, and so that's in my cornerstone. I would want to do Brett Summers. Absolutely, Brett Summers. And I feel like there has to be some thing saying you can't do Match Game characters.
Well, we have
because it's a gag to me. Not even Betty White has been done.
Paul Lynde was on
Hollywood Squares.
Yeah, Hollywood Squares. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Paul Lynde, the homosexual on Match Game with Charles Nelson Riley, which is also
I always
a
get them
character
mixed
that I
up.
would consider doing.
Gotcha.
But Brett Summers, I would just sit there with a fake cigarette and just saying, "What the fuck do you mean, RuPaul?" It would just be I would just play this bitch, which is not out of the realm of possibility for me. So those would be my main 2.
To be fair,
I would say
I believe Charles Nelson Riley got brought up in a Snatch Game, but I don't think he's ever been even.
RuPaul brought up Charles Nelson Riley. The only reason I know this is because I was watching one of my favorite YouTube channels, and they were reviewing. It was season 13 during the Discomentary. Charles Nelson Riley was brought up that episode. I literally just watched a review of that 6 hours ago.
Oh, and Dayla did too, because Dayla brought up Charles Nelson Riley when she played Paul Lynde.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I always think of a few different people that would be good characters to have. I've thought, one that I've always gone back to is Katie Upton, whom I've met. She is most famous for a Miss Teen USA. I personally believe that U.S. Americans, that's Katie Upton, and I've actually met her. She's really nice, and
I believe that wholeheartedly. I think that'd be so fun.
Yeah, but I've also it just clicked in my mind. I've been watching a lot of classic horror movies, and I think it's a male, but he's very theatrical and campy and gay, and that's
Dracula.
Vincent Price.
Vincent Price.
Yeah. Ooh, Bela Lugosi would be good too, but yeah. So
Vincent Price would be good.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
I have no idea. I was thinking maybe something maybe Maya Angelou and just be very I rise above all this nonsense.
She's been done twice.
Once was amazing, and once was absolutely terrible.
Maya Angelou?
How you spell Maya?
Yeah, they misspelled her name.
Never mind. Okay.
Yeah.
No, it could still be done. Things have been done.
Yeah, they've done Cardi B 4 times. It can be done.
They've done Cardi B 4 times. They've done
Somebody do
Beyonce
Tiffany
how many
Pollard?
times? Yes.
Somebody done
Yes,
Meet
not
New York?
well.
Naomi Smalls did Tiffany Pollard.
Not well. You could do better.
Not well. Okay, good.
No one has ever
You know
done
what?
Beyonce well.
No.
Other than
Never.
TKB, that doesn't count because it wasn't Snatch Game.
True.
Right.
What about you, darling?
Okay.
Yeah, I have two people. I would have done Coach D from the Dancing Dolls. Bring It. I'm not sure. I would have done,
Yes.
Better.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
or I would have done Terry Joe from TikTok.
Yes.
Very
That's what I would have done.
I
I hope no one doesn't go. Those are my two picks.
I'm screaming. I love both of those picks.
Now I have to think about this because I've never. That's not a question that's been asked to me before. What I would do for Snatch Game because
You're like, wait a minute. Now there's options. You're like, what am I thinking about?
right now I got to think about it. So ask me next week. I'll think about it.
Okay.
when we cover what? Probably Mexico Snatch Game.
No, ask me next week on All Stars. I'll have it.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll think about it this week.
Work. Let's talk about our Snatch Game of Love. Oh, we are small. Nope, that's not going to work either.
There we
That's
go.
how we're doing it today.
Better.
This is how we're doing it today.
Okay.
Better.
So, round one of Snatch Game of Love, our Snatchler was one half of our guest judges, who I was very excited about, Bowen Yang and Matt Rogers from Las Culturistas. A great podcast if you haven't listened. But yeah, absolutely loved them both. So we had Matt Rogers in this round with Heidi in Closet as Blackbeard the Pirate as Heidi in Closet. Where's the lie? Yes, Wild as Edie Chacon, Kahanna Montrese as Coco Montrese, and Jaymes Mansfield as Jennifer Coolidge.
Want a hot dog?
Real bad.
Real bad.
Now, I this was kind of a hot mess for the most part. There was only really one person who I found even remotely funny. Luckily, they won the group, but yeah.
I would say there were 3 of them that made me laugh. Not consistently, but I definitely laughed at 3 of them. One of them just didn't work for me at all.
I only laughed at 2 of them.
I also only laughed at 2 of them.
For me, Heidi, the outfit great.
Yes.
The idea great. But I just, as you said, Logan, it was just Heidi as Blackbeard, as Heidi. Like, she didn't even, I feel like she could have tried to put on a little more masculine, deeper voice to, give off the illusion of a pirate, have an accent or something. Like, I felt like I was just still hearing Heidi. Jessica, I don't know her character at all, but from what I did see, it was a little bit one note. She tried to use the same joke, like multiple times, and it got kind of stale after a while. Kahanna, we already know, it wasn't great. Like she could have used so many other things. She could have used like Get Her Jade, There are other Coco-isms that she could have used besides, just I'm not joking, And then Jaymes, I thought she did a great job, She picked someone who had, similar character to her, and I think it paid off. So yeah.
Am I the only person on the panel that was familiar with Edith Chacon prior to Snatch Game?
I was not.
Nope.
I guess you were.
I was familiar. I didn't know a whole lot about her. I think the difficulty is, and we've kind of seen a bit of this difficulty specifically with girls that come back from season 2, is either they knock Snatch Game out of the park or they kind of flop. And there's really been no in between.
Okay, she was in between. I'm going to plant this flag securely. I laughed quite a bit at Jessica. Every time she did that laugh thing, it worked for me. Okay. Were there jokes? Not necessarily, but it reminded me a lot of Alyssa Edwards as Joan Crawford. She didn't have jokes, no, but just her persona, just what she embodied was so funny with Alyssa. And it was the same thing with Jessica for me. I did rewatch it back. I did not laugh as much on the second viewing, but I do think she's being a bit underrated. And I think people are falling into a trap where they are retroactively criticizing her based on her unjust placement in the bottom two. And that's my tea.
Oh, hon, you are not
Yeah.
about to tell me anybody in group 2 was worse than her.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
he is.
Oh, yes. I think a couple of them were.
Not here on this day.
I will plant my flag right here, very proudly and firm, and stand 10 toes down on this. Jessica was not funny. That with the tongue got old the third time she did it. It was
Not for
it
me.
was too
Not for
many
me.
times, and it was just the same thing. She, like you said, she didn't have jokes. All she relied on was the and you can't keep doing that over and over and over again and thinking everybody's going to continue to laugh. I might have chuckled a little bit at the first one, was like, "Oh, what is that? That tongue thing." Then I was
It's
like,
so
"Oh,
bizarre.
that tongue thing." And then the third thing was like, "Okay, girl, we're done with the tongue thing." Like it just got old. And so I honestly, she deserved where she was supposed to be in that bottom two. I'm sorry, it is what it is.
I
She
will.
just was not funny.
Well, for me, oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I wanna just jump in here real quick. I hadn't got a chance to say anything, but I'm kind of with Lana on this one though, because like I feel like that, and I feel like that. I don't know. It's almost like Jessica has a little bit of like. What she was doing was not horrible. What she was doing was not horribly unfunny. But for me, I almost feel like that I kind of put her on a little bit more of a pedestal than I do any of the other girls because she's been away for so long. It's like, I feel like you need to be coming back and completely blowing these girls away. And I feel like that she's doing about as good as she did on her original season as of right now.
I think she
and
did way better.
I mean,
just like, what?
Comparing her two Snatch Game performances, I honestly think I got more enjoyment out of her RuPaul than I did out of this one.
Right. And it's like, and then even as well too with her runways, I've been seeing a lot of bathing suits go down the runway with stuff on them, and I'm like, I feel like I don't understand. Like, girl, you've been gone forever. Like, you need to come back and be given huge gowns and this and da 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 da. And it's been one where I've been like, some things have been kind of C+ing. Like, I even will honestly say her winning her lip sync for me was still kind of like, okay, you just relied on shaking your boobs for 3 minutes.
Yep. I feel
so
like
it's like
she is relying on pretty. She is relying on pretty. She's pretty. We know she's pretty, and she's giving us pretty, and she's relying on that pretty. And it's like, enough is enough. I feel the same way about Jessica as I felt about Alexis. Enough is enough. You can't just rely on being pretty. You got to give us something that's exciting, and she's not.
I also feel like as well, when it comes to the production of RuPaul's Drag Race, it's almost like for me, they bring certain girls back and put them in certain positions as like, we owe you kind of a situation. So for me, honestly, I feel like that Jessica isn't getting, I don't feel like as harsh of critiques or criticisms on what she's doing right now, because I feel like they're kind of being like, oh, we're sorry that you've been gone for so long. Let's bring you back and reintroduce people to you kind of a thing. Because I've seen them do this with certain girls before when they don't do the best on their season, and the next thing you know, they bring them back for an All-Stars or a Versus the World, and then they push them all the way up to top 4, regardless of how they do. And I'm like, I feel like y'all did that as almost like we owe you something kind of a thing. And that's kind of what I'm getting with Jessica, is because I feel like they're keeping her on purpose. I feel like because they're like, we want more people to remember Jessica Wilde, not just because Jessica Wilde's doing the best, you know?
I do want to say, this is the last I'll say about Jessica for now, but I am actually very thankful they brought her back, because for me, she's always been in season 2. She was a non-entity to me. There was barely anything to remember about her for me. And I would always hear people say, oh, I want Jessica Wilde back. And I'm like, why? But now that she's here, I'm very happy she's here. And honestly, I think for me, she's been doing better than almost anybody. She's probably my second favorite remaining in the competition right now, which I did not at all expect. But I'm really endeared to her. And no, she hasn't had the number one runways every week, but I don't think many of them have. So,
I mean, for me, am I happy she's here? Of course. I mean, I would never, outside of like maybe one or two people, there's not anybody I've seen on this cast. I'm like, I wish somebody else was here instead of you. But in the grand scheme of things, yeah, she has kind of resting it pretty. And the only difference is she hasn't really been called out for it as compared to other people who have been called out for, like, Jaymes this week got called out for having the silhouette, right? I wish it was standard across the board where people were getting called out when they're coasting. And even that ball win, I feel like was kind of a coast moment too. So, I mean, that's just my opinion, but, you know.
Yeah, because it's like, I love Jessica, and I was also one of the people, like, I was a huge Jessica and Tatiana fan, like, when season 2 came out. So I was, like, completely heartbroken when they ended up having to lip sync against each other, and even more heartbroken when Jessica ended up losing, because I was thinking, oh, Jessica's just going to send Tatiana straight home, and then that didn't happen. And so I've always been someone in the back of my mind being like, I would love to see Jessica Wilde again, you know? But then also at the same time, I'm with Logan. It's like, I still, and I guess just as a drag queen, and as, like, a competitive type person. I'm an Aries, so I'm a very competitive person. It's just like, I like fair contests. I like you being able to come in and everyone bringing the best of the best. And if the best of your best isn't meeting up with everyone else's, you may fall down. Everyone goes up, but it's still winning out of it the best of the best. You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm just like, I wish I was seeing more from her this time around, to really be like, okay, girl, you're really kicking all these girls' butt. You're eating them up on the runway every week, and you're killing every challenge. And I'm not fully seeing that from her. And that's why I'm just like, it's almost like, dang, Jessica, like, you're here. And I just want to see a little, I want to see the dial at 10, and I still feel like it's at 8, you know?
and I will remind everybody that Brook did give Jessica the highest average score of anybody for that ball.
You know, okay, but I didn't say she shouldn't win the ball. I'm just saying, outside of that, and even considering that, it's been a lot of the same.
Okay.
What I will say is, I do agree that she should have been bottom 2. I feel like the clear bottom 2s were definitely her and Kahanna. I was very confused when in the Untucked, the girls were saying that if Heidi was here, she would have been in the bottom.
Yeah.
That made no sense to me.
That made no sense to me at all.
So it's either one of two things. They're trying to troll us, or she did bad and production tried to cover it up. And I don't think they would
she
have
was
done
an
that.
easy scapegoat because she wasn't around.
Yeah, I feel like that's why.
Yeah,
we'll get to Jessica's runway. We'll get to that.
Because I laughed at Heidi, like, especially when that leg fell off, and she was like, well, the gig is
the
up
jig is
now.
up.
I was just like, okay, I was through. Like, I thought Heidi was funny, and so I don't think Heidi was still there. She would have been the easy, like, obvious choice to be in the bottom. I still think Jessica probably should have been in the bottom.
And also, too, at the same time, we didn't get a chance to see Heidi's runway. And I mean, we won't be able to get to see it unless we get on Patreon. But that could have easily tipped the scales in Heidi's favor, too, if in any way, like, she did do bad and they edited her to look good. You know what I mean? What if they decided to leave some of her flubs in there or whatever? If her runway would have been great, then she still wouldn't have been in the bottom. So, and she hasn't been doing bad on runways at all this season. So that, to me, I wouldn't have seen it happen.
We do need to mention the whole Heidi and Kahanna of it all, because it does come into play later. Kahanna is kind of bombing, not like hard, but enough at this point. She's not really getting many laughs. She's getting a couple of, and that's about it, right? And then you have Heidi trying to do the standard thing of Snatch Game, which is comment on somebody's performance, so that way you can either let them volley off and you guys volley off each other for a little bit, or you can help them, right? This happens in Snatch Game all the time, millions of times over the years. Kahanna was not a fan, and we will talk about that later, but it is important to bring up the fact that it did happen.
I think there's kind of an unspoken rule that if I'm your friend, you probably shouldn't do that to me. Don't tear me down. If it's somebody that's like kind of easy to go for, yeah, that happens a lot. I was a little surprised Heidi did it to Kahanna. It did make me a little uncomfortable, and I adore Heidi, but I completely understand why Kahanna was upset.
But
Oh, I
was that
don't.
a tear down?
I
I don't believe that was a tear down. I think she
It felt
was
like kicking
probably-
her while she was down.
I didn't get that. This is what I.
That wasn't her
and
intentions, I'm sure.
I'm gonna say what I say, and then I'm gonna be quiet because I know I'm talking over people.
Mhm.
But for me, it like she was like, "Girl, where's your joke?" To try to give her give her opportunity to say something back, to banter, to build her up, to make her get funnier, and she just kept flopping, and it was just like she like, "Girl, where's your joke?" And she could have been like, "Girl, where your leg
With
is?"
your leg,
Something.
yeah, or something like that.
Like you could have came back with something, and it's not Heidi's fault that Kahanna does not know how to do a comeback. That's not Heidi's fault. She was trying to help her. I don't feel like she was trying to tear her down or kicking her while she was down. It was her trying to volley her a little bit of a something to give her a chance to come back at her and banter. And Kahanna just couldn't do it. Now,
Correct. And that was
Sure.
obvious.
I don't think it was Heidi like, "I'm coming at you just to make you look bad." It was to help. Now, Kahanna didn't take the bait, so she failed, and then she got in her feelings. I kind of understood why Heidi felt the way Heidi felt, and I understood why Kahanna felt sort of, but I'm like, if you would have just took a minute, took a breath, took a moment, process, relax, relate, release, and thought about what she was doing, you wouldn't have came at her that way that you came at her later on in the show.
And for me, a really good example of that, like what Lana's saying, is like if you look at the season 10 Snatch Game, right? Half of the funny moments from that Snatch Game are just the queens bantering off of each other after the question's been asked, right? Like that's why my husband's been complaining about China all the time joke. That was a response to someone else that Aquaria ad-libbed, right? So Heidi might have been like, and this is what it seemed like to me, like Kahanna's struggling. Maybe I'll try to give her this boost and try to give her something else to bounce off of. And I think Kahanna took it the wrong way. But again, I'm not there. So I can only go based off what the edit says.
I think I agree with everyone. I think I definitely see, and we'll talk more about it when we get to the actual, like, Heidi leaving. I think Heidi's intentions were good because we do know Heidi and Kahanna to be friends on the season. And I think that Heidi's intentions were good. I think Kahanna just didn't know what to do because this is not in her wheelhouse. Comedy is not her thing. We know that to be true based on season 11 and based on this season as well. I think there is a moment where Heidi should have realized in the moment, okay, Kahanna's not catching these things. I'm just going to let her be.
Kana even told her that she wasn't joking, bitch.
Exactly. Like that would have been the moment for me that if I'm Heidi in that scenario, I would have been like, okay, I'm just going to let her be. I'm going to try to banter more with Jaymes, who is doing a lot better, and seeing if I can capitalize off of that. I do want to talk about Kahanna's performance as Coco because I think it was an interesting choice, and I was very concerned from the moment she was talking to Ru in the workroom. I think it was a good choice for Kahanna. I think the difficulty is that Kahanna was doing the Coco that she knows as opposed to the Coco that we know. Because had she done the, like, get her Jade, like all of the quotes from season 5, we got a couple of those in there, but she kind of relied on the orange joke and didn't really do a whole lot else with it. I think Kahanna could have been really, really successful as Coco. I just think she pigeonholed herself into one specific box and didn't allow herself to sort of breathe through the comedy and be more reactionary as Coco.
Mm-hmm. My thought was, it kind of reminded me when Trixie did RuPaul and Shangela said to the audience, she's like, you all out there, this is your fault for telling her she's funny doing this.
Y'all told her she was funny. I blame y'all.
For me, I'm doing that same. I'm pointing at the people who were at the Halloween party when Kahanna did Coco. It's their fault for telling her that it was funny. I think
Well,
she
there's a
probably
difference
was a
between
success
doing
then and
there's a
thought it would
difference
work here.
between doing your drag mom at a Halloween party and doing your drag mom on Drag Race during Snatch Game
Exactly.
in that
Yeah.
regard. But I do also want to give Jaymes her flowers in this regard because I've been waiting for someone other than she who shall not be named to do Jennifer Coolidge on Snatch Game, and I'm so thrilled that we finally have a good Jennifer Coolidge done on Snatch Game. I think Jaymes did an absolutely incredible job. I think she had the mannerisms down. She clearly knows this character very, very well. And she did the RuPaul thing where she picked someone who is very, very close to who she is. And I think it really paid off for Jaymes. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say it right here. I think Jaymes should have won.
Damn straight.
Not with the runway.
I think there were several people that could have won. But for me, I think Jaymes should have won this week.
With the
I
runway.
think Jaymes,
I love the runway. We'll talk about it when we get to it. But regardless, out
I
of
don't.
people
Yeah,
that were in Snatch Game this week, the person I laughed at the most was Jaymes. And from what I've seen online, it's been about a 60-40 split with most people seeming to lean the same way. So, granted, I might just be on the Jaymes Mansfield corner of the internet, but that's
You are, because I've seen it a lot more split.
fair enough.
Yeah. So for me, okay, so I haven't got a chance to really jump in with the Kahanna and Heidi thing, and I wanted to touch on that real quick. What I felt like that I was getting from Heidi and Kahanna, and I feel like this is just me being blunt about the situation, is I feel like that Kahanna's insecurities just really got the better of her out of this situation, because I feel like the equivalent of what Heidi was doing with Kahanna is very similar to the equivalent of what a lot of drag queens do with each other when we kind of throw shade back and forth to each other, or like make kind of little cute jokes about like, oh girl, your wig, oh well, girl, your shoes, this, that, and the other. So I know that doing that kind of witty back and forth kind of banter is literally something that we do in dressing rooms every single time we have shows. So I know that's something that Kahanna's familiar with, but I feel like that because she was put in that different environment when it came to how she was being comedic, she didn't really process it that way. She just kept thinking, I need to be Coco, I need to be funny, and not just really relaxing and letting like the jokes happen. Because I feel like that if she would have been a little bit less uptight about the situation, I feel like she probably could have volleyed a lot better with Heidi and not been so in her head about it, thinking, oh, I'm already down and Heidi's trying to kick me down, kind of a thing. Because I didn't fully get that assumption from it either with the whole Heidi and Kahanna interaction. I kind of saw it same thing as that like playful backroom shade that a lot of the drag queens do to each other, where we kind of throw little cute insults back and forth with each other to show that we care and stuff like that. So I really hate that it ended up kind of snowballing how it did. But also at the same time, I personally do feel like that Heidi and Jaymes were the two stronger ones out of this panel, as opposed to Jessica and Kahanna. And I like Jaymes a lot. I saw Jaymes as top 3, of course, out of this entire episode. I won't fully say that I would have saw Jaymes as the winner of the full episode. A lot of that too is because I also took Runway into account as well, and I have some personal opinions about her Runway, and we'll talk about that later. But for me, this still as well, going just back on to Heidi, is this keeps pushing this like narrative of like Heidi kind of flying under the radar and not wondering why she was getting seen, because for her to be one of the top 2 best people out of this one, I still feel like that it's almost like Ru wasn't really receiving her that way, or like I feel like that she was, but then I feel like something would have came up later on where she would have had some issue with the way Heidi did something, and Heidi still would have ended up just being safe or something. And I still feel like for some reason we wouldn't have gotten a top placement from her from this. So it's just it's very interesting how the way that they're judging and critiquing everybody is this season as opposed to some of the past All-Star seasons. It's just very, very interesting. But I mean, I thought they were okay. I thought Jaymes carried everybody pretty much, but Heidi was able to get in there and give someone too. So it was cute.
Yeah. I just want to say this real quick on the Heidi and Kahanna thing. I do agree that it is typical for the volleying in the Snatch Game and whatnot and so forth. Kahanna does seem to be a little bit sensitive, so I do take her feelings into account, because then again, we don't see everything, so it could have been worse than what it was. And also the one joke that they did show, the attempt that Heidi made when she was all like, find the joke, that wasn't funny to me. So that one probably was like, So yeah, I can see it from both sides. I definitely can.
And I will quickly just comment on Jaymes. I do honestly, initially, I thought Jaymes was fourth best of the night. I did rewatch, and I'll bump her up to third best of the night and best of this group. I thought this was probably her best episode she's had on Drag Race, period. She was pretty quick-witted. I really liked when she thanked Heidi for talking about her lips. My only critique, and I know not everybody agrees with me, is I did not get Jennifer Coolidge with her expressions. I got it with the voice, I got it with the jokes, but I just wanted to see it in the eyes, and I just saw the same eyes I always see from Jaymes. I wanted some of that squinting that Jennifer Coolidge is known for.
The expression she's literally giving in the photo that we're looking at right now is her squinting.
I mean, that's a super small photo, but I did rewatch it, and I specifically looked for that. I did not see it at all.
And see, that's where you're wrong, because it did happen, because I've watched it 3 times.
Okay. Well, I did not see it.
Well, good for you.
Show the receipts. Show the receipts. About to pull out the screen caps.
Woo, second group. Woo.
2.
Thank goodness. We're going to move on to group 2, which for me is the single best round of Snatch Game of Love they've ever done.
I mean, you don't exactly have stiff competition there, but
I disagree wholeheartedly.
Yes, we still have Eartha Kitt and Flavor Flav to look at. That was a very good one as well.
Yeah, but there's also only 3 people there, and
okay, I said round, period. It doesn't matter how many people are in the round, Brooke.
Fair.
And each round had one done person. It's just this one has 4 people and that one had 3 people.
Yeah, and this round had 2 done people. Okay,
Y'all.
sorry. I don't care if this is an unpopular opinion. I've watched the Snatch Game 3 times, right? And outside of maybe David Healy, I would say I'm probably the biggest movie buff in this group, right? Did not get Shirley Temple outside of the outfit. I'm sorry. I thought it was bad. I thought it was cringy. It was giving me slightly more polished Kenya Michaels, if I'm going to be honest.
Well, that's a whole black person.
What?
I was like, that's a whole black person. How did you get that from?
Well, like
Jimbo?
Kenya Michaels Snatch Game when she was doing Beyonce. Like,
oh, okay. I was like, wait,
A
those
whole
are 2 whole different colors of people.
Baby, you need to clarify.
Kenya Michaels in the Snatch Game. Like, it was just a mess. And like, sure, Shirley Temple is a tap dancer. Sure, great. But like, it wasn't giving me Shirley Temple because the voice was completely off to me. The performance was off to me. And like, again, the look she nailed down, right? Like the look is good and the lines were funny, but her choices she was making as a performer were not it.
But the thing is, do we know how Shirley Temple actually is?
That's it. That's how it falls. That's what helped Jimbo out because Jimbo was able to pick one of those characters that's so old that none of us were actually alive to hang out with that person. So they could kind of be a little bit more campy with certain areas of it, and it'd still be okay. Because I feel like that I don't know all I know of Shirley Temple is from the movies, but it's like I would assume if someone was pretending now to be like Shirley Temple, they would be acting like some kind of weird, hopped up 5-year-old on sugar that happens to be 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? Like that was just kind of how I went with it.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, I thought she was going for like, a grown-up version of her. Like she's grown, but she's still in that childish mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I got from the performance, and I thought it was really good. I really did.
Like the child star that never grew up kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got that.
honestly
I got
thought
that.
that Jimbo was pretty funny. Because I watched this way after everybody was on Twitter talking about it in the timeline and the back and forth of was she funny? Was she not funny? Is this good? Is it not good? And I was like, okay, I don't want to know. I'll just watch it for myself. And I did. I enjoyed the performance. I thought it was funny. I laughed. I thought, yeah, this is what Shirley Temple probably would act like in her 60s, 70s, old, still in the child star mentality,
Man.
but just older, creepier, weirder kind of thing. So I understood the character. I laughed. Did I think it was the funniest out of all four? Honestly, for me, no. I thought B. Arthur was hilarious to me
That
because
That
I
part.
is good.
because I love B. Arthur and I watched Golden Girls and I felt like Alexis nailed B. Arthur in everything from the look to the posture to the voice to the jokes. I thought it was hilarious. But I thought Jimbo was just as hilarious. So I was like, I can
I
see
feel
the
like
justification on either of them winning, but I kind of, for me, thought B. Arthur was just a smidge more realistic and more funnier. Like the jokes landed harder for me. Shirley Temple was just sporadic, not concise. Like the jokes weren't concise. It was just all over the place for me. I don't know. That's just me.
I I feel like Alexis and Jimbo were honestly both doing the same things of doing recreations, but I think they were just doing them in two different ways. And I think
Mm,
Alexis was going for a more literal recreation of B. Arthur, and Jimbo was going for more of a farce
mm.
of Shirley Temple, like not the actual legit Shirley Temple. Like I'm going to study her movies. Like what's the most wackadoo way I can do Shirley Temple kind of a Shirley Temple, and I feel like that's kind of how they ended up bouncing off of each other so well. Like even at the end when Jimbo ended up winning and went to the doll and said, "Look, we finally have a home." I cried.
That,
I was like, that was so crazy.
that was Yeah, I agree. I think it was very neck and neck between Alexis and Jimbo. I thought Alexis did a great job as well. I think what really sold the win for Jimbo was when she got up and started doing her tap dancing. I feel like that
That physical
was,
comedy saved her.
yeah,
Oh my
that was the
god.
nail in the coffin. That was the one that was like, that was the last straw. That was like, okay, you know what? Yeah, this one is hers, you know?
Mhm.
And in
But
Also,
yeah,
retrospect,
it
to be
was good.
honest with you, I feel like that if Jimbo would not have done Shirley Temple, let's say Jimbo didn't do Shirley Temple, I feel like Jimbo could have swapped this character out for like an Annie Oakley, or not an Annie Oakley, lie,
Little Orphan
Annie
Annie.
from like Annie, yeah, Little Orphan Annie, or like you know what I mean, and still would have been able to pull off the same thing with it not being a full like spot on recreation of them, but just playing with that whole I'm a huge kid even though I'm like 7 feet tall kind of a like thing, and it would have still worked out.
well, for
Mhm.
me, what I've always enjoyed about Snatch Game and like as performances is when I can listen and look at you and immediately know who you are, and when you're talking, I get it, right? Like it makes sense to me, right?
Yeah.
To me, this could have been Shirley Temple. This could have been like 5,000 other child stars.
True.
And for me, that's not impressive. Like I don't like that. I like whenever
Right.
like because to me, like the best example in my opinion, we've ever had of a child star being done on Snatch Game was when Eureka did Honey Boo Boo on season 10, right? And like that doesn't work as any other child star. Like that is Honey Boo Boo, right? I do.
I will say I think Lemon did a really good JoJo Siwa, but that's just me.
Oh, that's true as well. But like they're both great, you know. But even then, they're not just a child star in a Shirley Temple outfit, which is what I was
Right,
getting from here, which is
right. I
why I
can see that.
like it as much. And also, I hated the voice she was using because that did not sound like Shirley Temple at all. But that's just me.
No, it sounded like a grown Shirley Temple who smoked cigarettes and drink
It
alcohol.
sounded like
That's what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like a grown adult Shirley Temple. And so I got it. It
It's
was
funny
supposed
because
to
the
I am
sound
voice
like a little
so
almost
girl.
that
it's
you
funny
got
because
it,
the
Lana.
voice for it's funny because the voice for me almost gave me like I'm making fun of someone from the 1930s kind of a voice. Like I feel like you would kind of have that voice if you were making fun of like Betty Boop or somebody. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I don't know. I thought that was what I found kind of funny about it. Was that very like wow, like kind of like kind of quacky, like, almost accenty voice. I was like, oh, he's got the little goofy voice on now. Okay, cool.
I was getting demented Gizmo from Gremlins, but that's just me.
Well, at least she didn't sound just like Jimbo,
right?
Like Heidi did. At least she put a voice on it.
Agreed.
But also,
Heidi said, "I'm Blackbeard. I'm Heidi." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Kandy Muse was also really good in this challenge as well. I really enjoyed her.
I was going to say there are 2 other people here. Everyone. I didn't get to introduce the group because y'all bitches just started talking. So anyway, there's also Kandy Muse as Renee Graziano from Mob Wives, and Lala Ri as Sukihana from Love and Hip Hop Miami. I need to interject here and say I am tired of the Lala Ri slander in this Snatch Game because Lala absolutely slayed this. I think, in my personal opinion, she was the 4th best of this Snatch Game. I was truly impressed with Lala. I was very happy with it because comedy was not her strong suit on season 13. We all saw it. I was very, very happy to see how well she did. And when the first joke out the gate, so you record in Miami and you live in Atlanta, but you're from Atlanta, so where's your home base? Houston. I died. I died. And like she was able to volley off of Kandy so well because I also thought Kandy did such a good job as Renee Graziano. And I know that character very well. I'm a big fan of Mob Wives. I know Renee Graziano. This gave me Pearl as Big Ange energy in the best way. Like, I mean, this also gave me everything I needed.
Well, I think they were both really good in those Snatch games, and then they were both just safe. So,
in my opinion, my biggest issue with, because I think all 4 of them, we can all agree, were the better of the 2 groups.
But everyone but David, who's not here. But I think all of us would agree.
Well, everyone that's here as of right now. So my issue with Lala and with Kandy's, honestly, is the fact that I feel like they really picked 2 characters that were way too close to how they already present. I felt like that Kandy was like, I felt like her Renee was a little bit heightened version of who Kandy already is. And then same thing with Lala. I felt like even the way Lala was answering the jokes and stuff, I was like, that's how Lala answers them when they're talking to each other in the workroom and stuff. So I was like, if you didn't tell me that was Sukihana, I would never be able to, like the same thing you said with Shirley Temple. I wouldn't be able to tell that Sukihana if you told me that. I would just think that was just some random rap girl from Love and Hip Hop or something, but I would have no idea specifically who it was. And then that's also the same thing I would say with Renee, with Kandy's character, because it almost gave me very close to Bianca when she did Judge Judy. I was like, I feel like that she picked somebody that was almost too close to how she already comes off, so it doesn't even feel like she's giving me a character. It just feels like she was talking in an outfit.
I will say, though, I'm personally not somebody who's watched Mob Wives or Love and Hip Hop, so I was not familiar with either of these characters. So
that's the bad part. Me neither. And that's the thing is like, but I guess that's the issue. I haven't seen either of these either, but these 2 people don't look like characters. That still just looks like Kandy and Lala sitting there to me. And I feel like that's probably what took me out of it. As I was like, I feel like that I should have been like, okay, now I have to figure out who you are. But I wasn't. I was just like, you guys look the same.
As someone who knows both characters, I think they both did a really good job. I think they both were rightfully safe because I think Jaymes, Alexis, and Jimbo were the top 3 of the week. And I think there was a sizable gap. And then Kandy and Lala were kind of in that middle section. But I honestly think this Snatch Game comes down to there were 5 people that did really, really well and 2 people that just didn't do as well. Because I don't think Jessica did a bad job by any means of the imagination, but I do think she was 6th best. And unfortunately, with Heidi leaving, that put her in the bottom.
I do feel like between like Kandy and Lala and Jessica, I feel like that if they would have did these characters on a regular Snatch Game on a regular season, they would have been safe. So I see that.
Oh, but also we barely touched on it, but Alexis Michelle is B. Arthur. Oh my fucking god! This is
She cleared.
I like
I
this
loved
better
it.
than Liza. I know I'm probably in the minority on that one, but I love this because
I loved it a lot. I love
I
the
love it.
mannerisms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like a really sick kid when I was little. I was home from school a lot, and my grandma would watch me. So she'd always put it on like TV Land, and TV Land at like 11 o'clock in the morning was Golden Girls. So we would watch all these old episodes of Golden Girls. So I've been waiting for somebody to do B. Arthur on Snatch Game, and it was so great. It was great.
I honestly was a little bit nervous when she said she was doing B. Arthur because she had did Liza before, and I was just like, oh, are you going to become somebody that always does like older characters? But like the way that she did this just came off so well. I was like, okay, all right. Like even if you didn't fully get all of the jokes or whatever, you could see the way that Rue was reacting to how she was doing them. It was like, okay, she's doing it right. Whatever she's doing it right. And yeah, I loved it.
That's why I thought she would get the win because I feel like Rue laughed the hardest
At
at the
Alexis.
B. Arthur joke. Like she laughed so hard at that first joke and like
That end in jail, yeah.
Yeah, like busted a gut, and I'm like, okay, she didn't got Rue to laugh like that, and she didn't, even though because she didn't win the snatch game and get the dude, but I'm like,
And that's the difficulty with Snatch Game of Love as well. Sorry to cut in, Lana.
no, you're fine.
Where like every person who's won Snatch Game of Love has won their round. And so that's kind of the difficulty. I love Golden Girls. B. Arthur is my favorite Golden Girl. She always will be because she's just a bitch. And I love it. I think the difficulty for me is I think Alexis did a very good impression of B. Arthur. She comes third for me in my ranking because it felt like, and this is just me knowing a lot about the Golden Girls and having watched the whole series, most of what she said were regurgitated lines from Golden Girls. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just felt like she was a little bit less reactionary to what was happening in the moment than Jimbo or Jaymes.
I feel like that somebody said that very similarly about who was the last person to do Joan Rivers on Snatch Game?
Lucy LaDuca.
Yes.
Right?
I felt like I heard people saying that about Lucy. Yes. And I love Lucy. I want to preface that I'm a Lucy stan as well too.
Love
But I
Lucy.
feel like I heard people saying that and kind of discrediting her win and saying that a lot of the things that she was saying in Snatch Game were just like regurgitated Joan lines. And so like I can get where you're coming from with that, where it seems like that you're not really putting yourself into the character. Like she wasn't really like taking B and taking B out. You know what I mean? She was giving you like Getty Images stop B, you know?
Not Getty.
Well, I have a slightly controversial opinion on that because having rewatched the Snatch Game from season 15, Lucy wasn't my favorite.
Who was yours?
Who was your favorite?
I honestly think Marsha should have won as Tim Gunn.
Marsha did really good. I felt like
Marsha
Marsha
was my favorite upon reflection. Like that was for me.
Was
Marsha
that one
for somebody? I felt like she got slept on in a lot of the challenges, and they just kept fixating on her makeup and acting like that superseded everything, and that's why she kept being safe. I felt like there were a lot of challenges she did really good in, including that one, and they kind of passed her off a little bit. I was like, oh, okay.
Is it time for the runway?
No, we have a little bit of drama
Drama in
Oh,
between.
no. Oh, wait, one more thing I want to say before we jump into the drama.
Uh-huh.
Did anyone notice that when Shirley Temple won and they pulled the sugar wall down, then Jimbo ripped the head off the doll?
Yes.
You see, that's what's
It's so
really
funny.
good about the performance. Those little details. She's very detailed, and I love that about her. Like she focuses on everything.
I would agree with, I can't remember which of the judges said it, but I will agree and say that I think that she's probably one of the best, if not the best, like physical comedians that Drag Race has had.
I mean, from what I've seen, and my knowledge is very limited, but this character that Jimbo has made for herself and has shown on this show I am very appreciative. Like, I am a fan of her art because she's very creative. And
Yeah.
when she does things, the details behind it is nothing that she does that's on accident. Everything she does
Everything is
purposeful.
intentional.
It's
Everything's
very
intentional.
intentional and very purposeful. And as somebody who loves creativity in things, I can do nothing but applaud that and tip my hat to her, because you have to. Everybody can't do that. If everybody could do that, everybody would do it. But everybody can't do that, and that's why I feel like Jimbo has deserves the wins that she has. And even this one, even though I didn't think I thought B was a little bit funnier, but more purposeful in the funny and not as chaotic as funny. But Jimbo has just made every little thing purposeful and with intent. And you can't do nothing but appreciate that. Can't do nothing.
It's
You can't hate on that.
it's funny because the more that I see of Jimbo and Jimbo's performance style and stuff, Jimbo could honestly do extremely, extremely well if they were a Chicago queen. Their style of drag is very Chicago drag. Like, I could easily see them doing something at Berlin or something like that with that kind of shtick as a number, and everyone in the crowd would lose their minds.
I would love it. I would go see a Jimbo show. I'll put it out there. I would go see a Jimbo show. Wouldn't mind it, because I'm sure I would enjoy it and laugh.
Well, I mean, that would include lip syncing, though, so I don't know.
Well, other than that part,
But she could pick the songs that cater to her.
She'll be
so coconuts for 7 minutes.
coconuts. But okay, so let's jump back into the workroom, because this is where the drama starts. I feel like the drama starts happening because people start feeling a bit and start not agreeing with the way people are talking about things that's happening. So Kahanna is talking to Kandy, and she's like, my feelings are hurt. I am hurt by what happened during the Snatch Game. I am hurt by what Heidi did to me. Like, she literally kicked me when I was down. She didn't have to do that. I thought we were friends. It just didn't go right, blah, blah, blah. And so Kandy, of course, is kind of like, she's like, yeah, I understand, because in Kandy's mind, she already a little perturbed with Heidi because of some things that she didn't say it or heard from Jimbo about what Heidi told Jimbo. And so Kandy's like, okay.
Go
ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to interject about the Heidi and Kahanna part before we get too far past that. One thing I really appreciated from Heidi is once Kahanna said her piece,
I was just about to
Heidi's.
get into that.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
But yeah, okay. I noticed that Heidi said, I'm sorry it came across that way. She stopped herself. She was about to do one of those non-apologies, but she realized it. So I really respected that from Heidi.
Oh, for sure. Because usually a lot of people get to, like you say, that non-apology. I'm sorry if what I said hurt you. No, what you said.
Yeah, I'm sorry your feelings were hurt.
I'm sorry your feelings were hurt by what I said, but that wasn't my intention.
Yeah.
Your intentions may be great, but if you don't apologize, then what's the point of even saying something? So I do appreciate Heidi for saying, you know what? I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. Point blank.
Miscongeniality.
Period.
Miscongeniality.
But even if Heidi didn't feel like she did anything wrong, which when Heidi was explaining it, like, her intentions were not to kick Kahanna while she was down. Her intentions literally was to just volley back so Kahanna could try to come back with something funny so they can bounce off of each other. But, what you about to say?
And then it seems like we're going to get one of those nice, happy, everybody kisses and hugs, makes up Drag Race moments. They even start playing the reconciliation music in the background. If you watch Drag Race long enough, you'll recognize it. And then they do the record stretch of the century because Candace goes, actually, Heidi, if we're going to get things out in the open, and proceeds to go in about Heidi telling Jimbo that Kandy was coming for Jimbo, which, based off of what we have heard from both Heidi and Alexis Michelle and Kandy herself, was true. So it's interesting to see where this went. Anyone else want to take it from here?
Well, can you elaborate on that for those of us that may not know that?
Well, sure. Well, Alexis Michelle. So, oh, am I echoing? No? Okay.
It's not your fault, though.
Logan came back.
You're good. Okay. But you have Kandy confronts Heidi, and Jimbo asks, what happened, and then Heidi looks at Alexis and asks Alexis to confirm it, and Alexis originally does, which to me means okay, less than he said, she said, because if Alexis is confirming it, then it happened, right? And then Jimbo says, so she said that, and Kandy kind of gives Jimbo a bit of like a side eye, right? Not Jimbo, gives Alexis a bit of a side eye.
Alexis.
Yeah. And then Alexis course corrects and was just like, no, not what she said. Not what she said. And Alexis has even said since then, because she did, and I think it was an Instagram Live with Jimbo. She said, yeah, she said it, but also Kandy's stiff competition, and I didn't want her eliminating me if I was in the bottom.
And she said also at the end of it, I am scared of Kandy. She legitimately said that Kandy scares her, which is one of those kind of things too as well, where it's like, okay, now we're automatically, which I mean, Kandy is an aggressive person, but I'm just like, I don't like this subtext of aggression automatically being put on Black and POC people just because of the fact that they say something that you don't like, or this, that, and the other, I actually kind of wide-eyed right when the stream started, because Heidi had went live with Alexis, so I have no idea what that was about, but I know that she's been on live. Heidi's been on live, though, wishing everybody well and having, telling everyone to wish everyone well and stuff, and make sure people are okay, because Kandy has deactivated her Twitter as of right now. And
dude, the fact that, again, I occasionally will call out Drag Race fans on this pod because I don't like some of you sometimes. Y'all need to fucking chill. I'm so sick and tired of this hateful ass get on Twitter, rant at a girl for however long until she deactivates. You've done it to like 5 or 6 queens at this point in the past year.
More.
I'm lowballing because I don't want to go over, but you know what I mean. We've seen it happen time and time again across the globe. Y'all did it to fucking Victoria Scone last year. Okay, you need to stop.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I think most of us come from a background where we appreciate competitive reality TV. Like, Eve, you've even played Survivor, like Drag Survivor, right?
Yeah.
So,
I was in a drag pretty much version of like Survivor, which was almost, and I was in an All Stars version. So like, I'm one of those. Yeah, I'm one of those people that just like, fair is fair, and it's all is fair in love and war. And if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. But at the end of the day, we're all still people.
So I don't think there was anything wrong with what Kandy did. I think it's smart to strategize against Jimbo. I think it's smart to lie about it when you're called out. What I didn't love is that she also lied to us in the confessional. She didn't need to do that, but that's okay.
I was extremely taken back because it became one of those things where it's almost like it's not what you say, it's almost what you don't say. And so that I felt like was when I got the real issue when it came to Kandy, because when they were kind of going back and forth about, did Kandy say this, is not Kandy not say this, and then Kandy just automatically says, even if I did, and I was like, you didn't have to say that at all. You kind of just said that she did do it. And now you're more upset because of the fact you're being called out, not because of what you said, And so I understand with Heidi already having previous reservations over the past couple of episodes of her not really feeling seen or just feeling out of place in that space, and not like that she can fully trust people that she's went on tour with and consider sisters and stuff like that. I know easily being like, this energy just isn't what I thought I was signing up for. Maybe I needed, for the sake of our relationship outside of this environment, I need to pull myself out, and I respect her for that.
I do too.
I do too, because your piece is the most important thing over anything else that you can do in whatever it is, you need your peace. And if you're in an environment that is disrupting your peace, then it might be time to get up out that environment. Even if the opportunity is a great opportunity and it's like, sure, I could win some money from this. Sure, I can, have a lot of exposure from this. But my peace is at stake right now.
Yeah,
So
you don't want to end up like an aneurysm or something in the process. Like,
exactly. Yeah. I will bow out gracefully. So in order to keep the relationships that we do have, because Kandy knew she did it. And Kandy was just like, that was the funniest thing to me, because like when you said, she was like, and if I did, like, girl, you did, but I get it. You don't want to. There still is a competition, and you just got called out. Now you got to recalibrate and shift some things around to make it look like it's not on you. But that's why I think that was the guilt that Kandy had when she ran out after Heidi, to try to get her to stay.
Mm-hmm.
That was that guilt, because she knew she did it, and she knew she caused people to think Heidi was a liar. Heidi was not, and so that's.
And even afterwards, she said, "I didn't know it was going to turn out. I didn't know it was going to end that way." This. And I'm like, "Yeah, you didn't think that you saying that was going to make her just be like, well, now I quit all of this,"
No, but you knew. This is the thing. This is my part. I felt very annoyed with Kandy in this moment, because I'm like, you knew how on the unbalanced she was with this whole situation, even last week. You knew she was,
and how bad. And she called her out about it last week too, in front of everybody, and was like, "Hey, so how are you feeling?" And I'm like,
"You're the one coming after Heidi, on top of Heidi, and then when she says something that you actually said, and then you want to call it out and like, well, I ain't," but then say, "But I didn't think it was gonna turn out that way." Just say you playing the game, baby. You playing the game. You wanted to break her. You wanted her to go. You played the game. Kudos to you for playing the game, but just think about the repercussions that they have on your relationship with your sister after the fact.
Yeah. We also have to consider too, I mean, Alexis Michelle also had a bit of an emotional reaction too. Now, what part of that was Alexis Michelle?
Acting. I'm about to say that was bad acting, my dear. I'm so. What we need. Oh my god.
The funniest part to me is I watch different reactions of people watching the episodes. Is one of my favorite things, and almost every single person's reaction the minute Alexis started crying was, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Okay, so I'm not crazy being like, where is this coming from?" Everyone else is like, "Alexis, calm down." Like, it's a lot for safe.
Literally,
this is what I love about her.
When she started it, I was like, my whole reaction, I'm sitting there like,
I was like,
what? Why are you even crying? What is your whole purpose right now for even saying anything? You have nothing to say here. You just left her on the limb and left her there. You did.
Your time to say something was when they were like, "Hey, did Kandy say this?" Don't start crying afterwards and be like, "I hate this." Like,
girl,
what?
I'm over Alexa on that moment.
No, but she does give you good TV. I cannot complain.
Was it good TV? It was not even good TV. That was not good.
It was a soap opera.
It was not. It was a soap opera. Okay, everybody. Maybe my reaction to good TV is different, because I didn't find that to be good TV. I just found it to be very annoying and like, what? Like, why? Okay, but that's just.
I will say this. Mm-hmm. For Alexis's sake, I can see it from two sides, because I always see everything from two sides. One, you should have just told the truth and not make, an India Farah All-Stars 5 moment when, there's clearly a liar, So if you knew you heard Kandy say it, you should have just said it and not make Heidi look that way. But then again, it's like, she was like wrongfully thrown in. Like, she didn't want to be a part of it, and she said so in her confessional. She was trying to flatline. So I can see the uncomfortability about having two people going against each other, and then you being basically the third party to come in and settle it, and then you don't want to have one side be angry at you and then the other side be angry at you. But she probably should have just said, "Yeah, you said it."
And it's like I get that too, but also at the same time, me personally, I feel like that's kind of almost the position that Heidi was put in when Kandy just kind of blindsided her and was like, "Oh, by the way, what did you do and what did you say?" Because it's like that could have been a conversation I feel like her and Heidi could have had over in the corner somewhere, and they didn't have to have it in front of everybody. I feel like Kandy almost tried to do that to call her out. And if someone was to do that to me, and there was. Yeah, if someone did that to me and there was someone in the room who could actually confirm my innocence, no, I'm tagging you because I'm like, no, I'm not going to stand here and just get burned at the stake while other people watch. You know what I mean? So I understand not wanting to have to throw Alexis in there, but at the same time, I'm like, I felt like Heidi was in a position she didn't really want to be in either. So she was like, somebody help me out. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was like a split second where Kandy first calls out Alexis. She's like, what do you mean I said that? And you see Alexis's eyes dodge back and forth between Heidi and Kandy.
She was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go.
Who am I more intimidated by? That's exactly what I read from her eyes, which, like you said, is problematic.
Yeah. And it was one of those where I was kind of like, and to be honest with you, I feel like, I don't know if it would have made it better or anything, but I feel like Alexis possibly could have even been like, you know what, guys, I'm not in this. I'm not a part of this, whatever. And I feel like I don't know if they would have fully absolved her or anything like that, but I feel like that, I don't know, going back and forth in front of everybody, I feel like it's worse than almost not making a decision.
It's what I would have done if I mean, especially when you have people like Kandy and Heidi who are both stiff competition, who, if they're both around next week, always have a chance of winning a challenge. You know, like they are very talented and have shown that they're very good at Drag Race, right? The last thing I want is to make one of them mad at me and possibly
have them win a challenge and send me home.
Yeah, exactly. So I would have just stayed out of it if I were her. I would have been like, nope, not getting involved. But you know, things happen.
I went to the bathroom in that moment. I started them arguing. I'm like, "Oop, I gotta go to the bathroom."
Like maybe, yeah. I'm like, what did I?
Yeah, I would have been like, is it time to go to the runway? I think I'm hearing the song.
It's time to do something, baby. I would have changed the channel, moved the needle, do something. Like I'm not gonna get involved. I'd be like, "Oh wait, my mama calling me," and I'm gonna walk away. Maybe I will just turn and leave. Like I didn't hear you ask me nothing. Like, did you hear her say that, girl?
Yeah, I'd be like, "Huh, James? What'd you say, girl?
You say
Lala, you needed some help? Let me help you with the corset, girl."
Yeah.
Did you need?
Jessica, what you doing, baby?
Maybe I
because
I feel like don't want to get involved.
Because I will say this. Heidi did say that after the cameras cut off that Kandy said this to her. Something makes me think, honestly, that all those cameras don't always cut off. And I feel like that if Alexis wouldn't have got pulled into it, they possibly would have screenshotted something. Because they've had outside shots and everything. And I'm just like, I think somebody got something on camera of them talking to each other at some point, and that could have popped up. I would have loved to see that. Let's see, roll the footage. What happened? Roll the footage, and then we just see like a behind the scenes shot. I would have been like, oh. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But I think we've discussed this enough. I don't know about nobody else. I think we should.
Yeah.
Are y'all done?
Runway time. It's runway time.
I mean, the drama.
Also,
I'm ready
to. One thing I do want to say before we move to the runway is, once again, I just want everybody out there to wish Heidi in Closet so much love and praise and positive energy and good vibes. Subscribe to her Patreon. Check out her pictures and stuff, because
get her fleshlight. If you're into that,
it's got a gap in it. So if you're
it's got a gap,
and there's a gap-shaped hole in this competition now.
Oh,
you know, I'm not going to be mad. If every other runway was a gap runway, I'm honestly not that mad. I love Heidi dearly, but it felt like, it really, honestly, for me, it felt like she came back too soon. I think she could have waited another year. I do. I think she was ready physically and financially. I just don't know mentally if she was ready.
Gotcha.
And I got that from like episode 1, where she was like, it wasn't that same confident girl from North Carolina that we met on season 12. It felt honestly very similar to when Isis Couture came back on Canada's Drag Race Crave Original Canada versus the World, where like you could tell that Heidi had just been working, and hadn't given herself any opportunity to breathe.
Mhm.
And I honestly think, had she continued, I don't know how much further she goes. Unfortunately, I think this is just a very stacked cast. B, I don't know if her mental health necessarily would have stood up. These are all hypotheticals, and obviously, I always want the best for Heidi. But I just don't know whether she had given herself enough time to breathe, because she has become one of the absolute fan favorites of the modern era of Drag Race, at least in the US. So
I've had a theory about this for a while. So I think context for when this was filmed really matters. So anybody who keeps up with stuff with like behind the scenes stuff, there's a lot of people that were saying All Star 7 just felt unfair for a lot of the queens, and a lot of them felt like it was kind of rigged the whole time in favor of Jinx. And we have to remember All Star 7 was airing when they went to film this. And Heidi's best friend, Jada, was on that cast. So I think that was really weighing on her. Like thinking about what Jada's experience was, and then possibly seeing it start to come to fruition again on this season, Jimbo getting a lot of love. I think that might have been a factor that was really weighing down Heidi. Like, am I going through what Jada just went through? And then she found out she couldn't even fully trust people that she had a working relationship with. So I don't know. I think that could have been part of it.
I feel like for me, I could see that, especially because of the relationship, but I feel like trajectory wise, almost how she was going in the competition, I feel like that Heidi would have been more on par with how Evie was doing in All Star 7 as opposed to Jada, because I feel like that. And that's one thing that kind of made me mad with this season is Heidi never got a win at all before she ended up leaving. And I do feel like there was at least one or two times, me personally, especially the ball challenge, where I feel like that she should have gotten a win. And so I know with her constantly, I think that she only was on stage for critiques maybe once. And I think that was maybe the first or second week. And then other than that, she'd been safe every single week, pretty much. So I know that she looking from an outside perspective was seeing what she was bringing to the competition and what other people were bringing to the competition, as opposed to what she brought on her regular season. And she's thinking, oh, I'm stepping it up. I'm really giving them what they're wanting. And yet for some reason, that still isn't enough. And so I know that probably just kind of like, just kind of made her be like, well, crap, if this isn't enough, then this is all I have to give as of right now. So, you know.
And that's part of the reason I've never really been a big fan of the lip sync assassin format. I think it definitely has its utility, and I think it's not terrible. But if it were me, I would love for them to go back to Lip Sync for Your Legacy and just have the top two every week. I know it's not like doable all the time, but that's also why it worked for Snatch Game of Love to begin with, because it was the two people who won the rounds were the two people that competed in the lip sync, and it made more sense. But I don't know. I just feel like the Lip Sync Assassin format does limit what we can see out of the girls on All Stars, because like Darienne Lake, right, notoriously is one of the best lip syncers in the history of the show. And granted, she wasn't even in the top for any of the challenges while she was here. But in a lip sync for your legacy format, we could have seen her in something at some point if she stuck around. And same thing for Heidi. You know, Heidi was probably second place in the ball, right? Heidi also a fantastic lip syncer, either her or Kahanna. But you know, fantastic lip syncer either.
I do agree with that because, and I have a little bit of personal PTSD from it because, as David said earlier in the video, I did like a drag version of Survivor here in Chicago, and the season of Survivor that I was in was set up with lip sync assassin format. So that's pretty much what ended up happening was, I think I'm a very, very good lip syncer. But I ended up falling into the bottom with another person who ended up being best friends with the person who won that challenge that week. And that person ended up winning against the lip sync assassin, and of course did not want to pick to send their best friend home, so they sent me home. And so I always feel that way a little bit too when it comes to the lip sync assassin format. It's like I would rather be down there in the bottom fighting for my spot to stay, as opposed to waiting here and hoping that Jimbo doesn't trip over her feet and decides to save me. You know, I do feel like that. Out of the past, like the past 3 episodes when Darienne was in the bottom, there's about 1 or 2 episodes. If she would have lip synced against that person that she was in the bottom with, she would have still been here, you know? So I see where you're going with that.
And also, I just want the power of a Darienne Lake versus Mrs. Kasha Davis lip sync. I don't even get it.
To Meeting in the Ladies Room by Climax. Just something nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No. I need Darienne and Kasha lip syncing to Square Biz by
Tina Marie. Yeah. That would be everything.
Logan.
I am waiting for that song to be a lip sync song because I love that song. Anyway,
Runway time.
Runway.
I'm putting up the runways because we have to move on.
We have to at this point.
Also, my autocorrect, because I made this slide on my phone, so my autocorrected it to RuVeal. But the category is RuVeal yourself.
Because
Well,
of course
we barely saw either, so
Exactly.
Ooh.
So we're gonna do this very quickly, friends. Very quickly.
her.
I'll try.
I'm saying this very slowly so you can understand.
you're dumb.
You're dumb. I had to reference. That's one of my favorite reads of all time.
So good.
My favorite one. Side tangent. My favorite one actually comes from that reading challenge. Darienne Lake looks like the kind of girl that would sit backwards on a toilet just so she has a flat surface to eat off of.
First cowgirl.
That was a good one.
So good.
Wah, wah. Category is reveal yourself. Reveal yourself. There's only one photo on the slide. I'm not pulling more than one photo for this. I don't care. So I'm going to describe what each runway was. We're going to do a very quick score, and then we're going to move along. Boom. First up, Jessica Wilde. The chicken interfered, and then she turned into an actual fucking egg, and then she turned into a sunny side up egg, but it was cracked. I thought this was fine. I thought this was whatever. It's another bodysuit situation from Jessica Wilde. However, I thought this was inventive. It's creative. It plays back to season 2. She's going to get a 75.
Oh, that's me. I like the concept. Chicken, egg, omelet. Great. 70.
I like the concept. Everything else, absolutely not. Until she came out and told me that she was a chicken. Didn't get chicken from that yellow robe. The second look with that egg was the flattest egg I have ever seen in my life. That egg was not even an egg. And then this look, it's basically her look from last week with just 2 fried eggs on it, sunny side up eggs. I don't want to plead. I'm gonna give her 30. This.
Yeah, I like the concept, but I don't think she brought an all-star level execution to it. I would have liked to see it elevated a bit more. It's a 70 for me.
Chopsticks.
Period. Chopsticks.
It's a chop. I'm sorry. She went from a caftan with chicken feathers on it to a misshapen egg. It wasn't even in the shape of an oval. It had a dip in the sides that made her try to put a silhouette on an egg. I don't understand. And then there's just a white bathing suit with fried eggs on it. This is a full 15, and she should be glad she has that.
Oh, hun, you're being too, in my opinion. As somebody who has ranted at length for my absolute distaste for any form of bodysuit, which will now officially include bathing suits because it has been brought to my attention. I think they're lazy, just for the record, Eve. I don't know if you've seen it. I think wearing a bodysuit is just so lazy, especially when you're on Drag Race.
And mind you, this comes from someone who doesn't do drag.
Correct. I do not do drag. I am just a casual observer, so that is I am casually observing based off of what I see, and what I see 5 because the wig is good.
We love the opinions of the opinions of audience members. We take them into account when we do drag. So thank you.
I mean, 5 out of 6 of us in this call are audience members.
I know.
No.
4.5.
4.5. I'm working.
4.5. 4.5.
4.5. We're working on it.
Mood.
Kahanna Montrese. She comes out as a Vegas showgirl and then just gets naked.
Again. Comes out as a Vegas showgirl again.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If y'all want to call other girls for displaying their brand, we have to do it here.
I was going to. I definitely was going to. Because in my humble opinion, just because your body looks great don't mean you have to come out in the same showgirl outfit every time you want to do something naked. Every time. I need more. This is a RuVeal. You came out naked. What are you revealing? Nothing. You already naked. You ain't revealed it. So
a RuVeal where I didn't see a RuVeal.
Nowhere.
Like what?
She's wearing RuVeal clothing, but like cool.
Child.
Can I give my thoughts, please?
Yes.
Please. Thank you. Thank you. I don't really care. She looks hot. It's not the most inventive thing. 80. Because I thought the execution of what she did was better than what Jessica did.
I want to retract Jessica to a 50 because I want to keep Kahanna to a 50 as well. Because, yeah.
I'm gonna retract Jessica to a 15 as Miss Eve did. I feel like that's more appropriate. This honestly, I'm gonna give her like a 30. The body is sickening, but it's not enough to impress. You know, it's not enough to impress me. I'm sorry.
What was the score?
A 30.
Okay. I actually really think this looks good. If I'm trying to judge it for what it is. Like if this was the first look we saw from her, I would really like it. My only issue was the reveals were kind of lacking. It just didn't do a lot of revealing. So I'll give it an 86.
So in my opinion, I would say that this is the lowest tier runway that Kahanna Montrese has done on this season. Because everything that she's been doing so far, runway look has so been more elevated than this. I would say that it's a good look overall, but I do agree that I think the reveals were a little bit lacking because it was just her getting naked. If she would have had more stuff on and then got naked as opposed to just a bra and panty, then I feel like that would have been different. But it was like she only took off 2 things. And then at the same time, even though the thong part taking off was real hot, someone else clocked it with me too. Girl, all that duct tape we saw in the middle of her between me down there parts. It wasn't clean and concise. It was not Carmen Carrera walking down the runway completely naked with just a blurred spot over her. It was like we could still see where you were gathered together. So for me, I'd give her a 45.
It's one of those things where I have to compare this look to her other Vegas showgirl look she's done this season. I know she is a Vegas girl, but I don't know. I've seen other Vegas girls come on the show since the Las Vegas show's been out, and they've not just been doing Vegas showgirl consistently. I think this is the 3rd one she's done this season. I'm kind of bored, and I also think this is the weakest one she's done. So when you compound all that together, it's like a 40. Because it's not bad. It's just, I'm bored.
It's funny that you said that because it seems like that out of those Vegas girls, really the only 2 girls that came here in like every other 5 minutes was like, I'm a Vegas showgirl, was her and Derek Barry. Like, yeah, exactly. I don't feel like Indy ever did that. I don't feel like Coco ever did that.
I don't feel like
Anitra never did that much. Yeah, I was just thinking that. I was like, I don't think Anitra did it that much either. But they are like, it's almost kind of their crutch.
She was too preoccupied with walking that fucking dog that she couldn't talk about Vegas.
I mean, Pheromone showgirl look, and so did Kimora Black on season 9, but that was way. So like they kind of
Kimora was barely there.
Yeah,
and one of the and had one
Jaymes
of the
Mansfield.
Yeah.
James
Comes out as a puppet, and then she reveals to a dress, and then she reveals to a corset, and then she reveals to a bikini, and then she reveals pasties. I'm going to get in before any of you fuckers talk about the fact that the bodysuit was loose, because Jaymes herself has said on the show and on multiple occasions that she lost weight. This is not a new thing when it comes to queens on Drag Race. A lot of queens have talked about the fact that they have lost weight on the show, and therefore their garments do not fit. Therefore, I am not going to be judging this look based on the fact that it doesn't fit. Is it unfortunate that it doesn't fit? Yes. However, I think the aesthetic, the reveals, and the way this was constructed was incredibly, incredibly well done, and she's getting a 90 from me, and I don't care what anyone else has to say.
Wow. Somebody's aggressive right now. Oh, scary, even.
These bitches have been talking about this goddamn look the whole episode.
Well, let me talk about it then, because I actually loved her look. I was a fan of this look, and I understand about losing the weight. It happens. That's just what it is. I mean, that part of the bodysuit, the part of the suit is flesh toned suit, like very skimpy. So pinning it back would have looked even weirder. So really is not a whole lot she could have done with that. I thought she looked amazing. Her reveals were great. I give it a 90. I liked it. One of James's best.
For me, this was okay. I really enjoyed the dress that she had on and the corset piece before she had this moment. I'm gonna say it, the fit just really throws it off. It doesn't throw it off that much because her reveals were good. For the category RuVeal Yourself, they had some good reveals. So this I'm gonna give a 70 because she met the assignment.
Yeah, so I had pretty high hopes when she came out in the puppet. I really thought that was campy and fun. But unfortunately, I didn't really care for the two looks afterwards. I thought they were fairly simple and basic and predictable. What I did really like about this was that breastplate. Like, that's honestly one of the best breastplates I've ever seen. Like, it looked so real as she was walking down the runway. I'm still going to give it a 47.
Yeah, I'm going to take the fit into consideration and not apply it to my analysis of this at all. I'm still going to give it a little choppy on a chopsticks because I feel like this is stock Jaymes Mansfield. And we're at episode 5 now, and I kind of want to see more than just stock Jaymes Mansfield. I feel like that if you wouldn't have even told me what Jaymes did and said, hey, if Jaymes Mansfield did reveals, what would she do? I'd be like, well, she'll probably be in a gown, there'll probably be some kind of puppet, and then she'll probably be in something burlesque like. And that's pretty much exactly what I ended up getting. I almost felt like I just wasn't surprised by anything she did. I was just kind of like, this is very standard you, like 350%. It's you did the assignment, but you just turned it in on time. There wasn't anything extra, any extra credit, any extra frills or bells or whistles. It was just what was asked, and that's all that you did. And so for me, I'm always in that mindset where this is all stars. This is where you're supposed to be able to have the chance to show something more elevated. Now, if she would have done a gown that was more extravagant or like bigger, or you know what I mean, or if the under corsety bra and panty thing was like a whole bodysuit kind of situation, I don't know. It just really, I felt like went down to just like the basics. And it there wasn't anything special about it other than really to the part where they got to the pasties. That was when I was like, oh, okay, cute. That's something that's a little bit different. I didn't think I'd be saying almost Jaymes Mansfield's whole tit, but other than that, I'm like, I feel like I've seen her in some of this stuff already this season. I've seen her with a puppet on the runway this season already. I've seen her in that style of gown that she was in before she revealed into the bikini already this season. So I'm just like, it's not wowing me. I'm giving it a cute 52. 50 as well, not 52.
For me, again, as president of the fan club, I really loved the puppet part of this outfit. I think it really helped.
Oh, you're the president? Oh, you're gonna hate me.
Just president of the Jaymes Mansfield fan club, you know.
Set me up, putting me in front of her. You guys set me up. I know that's what happened. They're like, we're gonna let her destroy Jaymes, and then she's gonna pay.
No, I mean, again, my whole thing is, as long as you're not mean and you're not like hateful for no reason, I don't care what people. And what your opinion. It's just my take and whatever else anybody else says. For me, I really loved the puppet of it all. I think it really screamed classic Jaymes Mansfield. But to me, it wasn't samey because it wasn't like a hand puppet. It was literally over her entire body, and she was controlling it while she was walking on the runway. I found that to be pretty impressive. I am not a fan of corsets that much. Like, they're just kind of boring. I don't get much out of it. But I do think overall it was executed very well, and I'm not going to blame her for the fit because, yeah, people lose weight. It happens. So for me, this is full. But that is just me.
All right.
Kandy Muse. She starts as in a. What were you saying? You started.
Oh, just said Kandy Muse.
Kandy Muse. Candisha Moose, as I like to call her. She starts as a housewife, and then she has a red dress on for some reason, and then ends in this. I thought I didn't get any of the looks together. I didn't find any real cohesion between the three looks.
Excuse me.
The first look was my favorite. The housewife moment was the best, but unfortunately, we have seen that done better on Drag Race. And I'm starting to get a lot of same from Kandy. We're going to talk about the same aesthetic with Jaymes. I'm going to talk about it here with Kandy, unfortunately. And I love Kandy. This is going to be a 50.
So, remember how last week I said, I'm finally that Kandy did something different, and it wasn't the same thing, and it was great, and I was excited. Like, this would be trajectory for Kandy for me. Nope, she plateaued right back down and gave me the same once again. And once again, I'm super bored with Kandy Muse. This episode was not her episode for me, because for me, she just annoyed me. So I'm like, ugh. Everything about her this week, I was like, ugh. So I'm not a fan of this at all. At all. Not look. No cohesion in this look at all. So it's getting a 30 or a 10 for each of the looks, because that's about as much as I can give. Ooh. Can't do it.
Mm-hmm. The first look was cute. I'll give her that. The second, the red dress, how she revealed into it was very... All her transformations, her reveals themselves were good. Fit she changed into, absolutely not. That red dress did not flatter her body in any way, shape, or form. And this girl, I feel like I just seen her wear this in red like a couple episodes ago. Yeah, it's a 25. Like, absolutely not.
Yeah, it felt like this whole runway for her was kind of an afterthought compared to most of the rest of the looks she's done. She's like, oh, I guess I gotta get something for this as well. So yeah, I didn't really like it. It's a 38 for me though.
For me, I don't fully consider it. I don't really think they were like reveals, because I do feel like it was just her getting naked almost in a way. It was just taking off one item of clothing to something that was a lesser item to something that was another lesser item. And there was more cohesion, I feel like, between the first and third looks than there was with the second look included. Like, I could see her going from like a housewife to kind of like this sexy pinup kind of thing, but I don't know how the red dress in the middle works in between. Maybe she was watching Carmen when she came up with this idea, and just there's some makeup in there. But also at the same time, the red dress itself looked horribly cheap. because Kandy is a bigger girl, she's one of those girls that likes to do more of a flat chest top because she has a little bit of meat here for her chest, so that way it still kind of spills over. But it weirdly looked like the corset top part of the red dress was like cardboard, and then it looked like the whole bottom of the dress was just like red boas. It was just very, very, very cheap looking. So I didn't even understand why that was in between the two of them. And I know that, like, to be, I guess, a hair controversial, I understand a little bit of Kandy wanting to not kind of stay along the same silhouette, but I feel like that I've noticed her thing is like the more pinup girl. Like, I feel like that I've noticed that she leans a lot more towards pinup style looks and stuff. So I can see how this would fit for Kandy, but I do agree. I feel like that we've seen her do more corsety pinup stuff almost this entire season. So this could have been a great time for her to do something actually different. So I would give it a 52. 50 as well.
Sorry. Being 100% honest with all of you, I forgot about her runway in this episode the moment it left my screen. There was nothing memorable about it. I don't like it in retrospect, now that I'm remembering it. But very similar to what I said a couple weeks ago, I believe, about Kasha Davis on one of the runways. This isn't, like, memorably bad. It's just kind of mid. And I don't, like, I'm not going to plead on mid. It's just like, it's a 30. I'm going to forget about it when it leaves, and it left no impression on me.
Lala Ri, who started in a shawl for some reason, and then revealed into this. This look is fabulous. I think this is one of the best things Lala Ri has worn on Drag Race. Unfortunately, I don't think she thought about this category and just threw some purple velvet over her body and decided that was going to be her reveal. So, as much as I want to give her a higher score, I'm going to give her a 75 because I think the look is fine, but for the category, it just doesn't fully fulfill what I want it to be.
Lala Ri got the assignment 8 months ago in advance and forgot about it until the night before and threw something together.
Literally threw something over.
Threw something together and said, here we go. And here's my assignment at 11:59, right before midnight, the midnight deadline.
Copied and pasted right from the internet,
too. Right. Literally copied and pasted. It was plagiarism at its finest. This was so thrown together at the last minute, and there was no reveal at all. Like, you just put on the shawl and said, okay, now here's my mouth. Like, even though it's pretty, but it's not the assignment. It's not what it was supposed to be. It's so boring. It's just, I can't do nothing but give this like a, it's a 50. It's 45. I can't.
I'm going to have to agree with what you guys said. This is probably one of the best looks she's ever worn out of her 2 seasons. It's really nice. I love the color on her skin. However, the reveal portion, like, you just got some of that fabric, wrapped it around you and said, okay, this is my reveal. Like, you have to do something more than that. So for that, I'm going to give her a 45 as well.
Yeah, you all said it. She failed the assignment here. She looks decent, but for that blanket, I'm bringing her all the way down to 30.
It's a chop. It's a chop, choppity chop, stick chop. I don't care if we want to pretend that her first reveal was her coming out as Blanket Jackson. I know for a fact that Jasmine Masters almost got second-degree heat stroke wrapping herself in a makeshift eustachian tube to do a reveal as a butterfly out of a cocoon. And you want to tell me that you're going to come out with 1.2 yards of purple velvet fabric on top of your head, and that is a reveal? It's a clean 15 for me.
Not Blanket Jackson.
It was giving me very much Alaska with the trash bags, to be honest. Like the actual
But way
outfit.
worse.
But wait, no, this is better
Way
because
worse.
the purple was like fine. I liked looking at it, but like
You didn't like
it
little
felt like
pound cake?
it felt like yeah, little pound cake. It felt like a complete and total afterthought to the actual outfit. I highly agree. I love the wig. It reminds me of some other performer, and I could not tell you who, but that wig is
Beyonce.
great.
Yeah.
No,
Beyonce.
like a drag queen has been on Drag Race, but I could not tell you who.
TKB. That was
I don't-
TKB.
Regardless, she looks really great in this portion of the outfit. This portion of the outfit would get like a 90 from me. The blanket portion would get like a 10. So we're going to average it out to a 50.
A blanket
me,
gets
I
a
just wanna-
10?
Yeah.
I wanted to throw this in there.
Blanket gets
I wanted to throw
score.
this. I wanted to throw this in there real quick before we jump off of Lala. I feel like one of the things that could have helped her with this outfit is if the fabric was somewhat attached to the outfit and it was like a train or something.
Yes!
And then she had that on and then took it off and it was still attached to her, as opposed to it just being, I'm peeling off a piece of fabric. So it was just like missed opportunity, big missed opportunity.
Yep. Missed.
Jimbo as Adam and Eve.
It's very funny that I said that I considered Naysha Lopez's milk and cookies look one of the, I say, latter things that Joshua Naponte has ever made. This, in fact, would actually be on the higher tier of things that Joshua Naponte has ever made.
Most
Take
things-
a sip. Take a sip. I know Joshua Naponte, so take a sip.
Oh, god damn it.
Name drop.
Oh, is that what we're doing?
Yep.
Oh yeah, you
When I
missed
name
it,
drop,
Logan.
we
Now,
drink.
it's a drinking game now, so every time Eve name drops someone, we drink.
Her. I'm gonna do.
It's
water
only
with this.
happened twice today. I'm really proud of you, Eve.
I'm about to say,
Thank
I'm gonna do water
you.
with this because sometimes you go on a name dropping fit, baby. And I don't
That's why we brought it up.
This is over.
It's okay. It's okay. I upped my dosage today, so it'll be fine.
Period.
Yes, baby. Yeah, I would say most of the things that Joshua Naponte has made that have been on Drag Race have been fantastic, and this is no exception. I was terrified of the Adam mask. I was like, what? I literally was like, I was Alyssa Edwards. What the fuck is going on up in here on this day?
On this day, yeah.
And the reveal was just everything. My cup is full. I literally can't say anything else. It's so good.
This was absolutely the best thing to walk down the runway. I was so impressed by this. First of all, this concept of Adam and Eve coming out, walking out backwards. I was like, what the heck is Jimbo doing right now? What is going on? It took me a minute to look at the face to realize that was his face. I was like, oh, wait, okay. But then the turnaround and the reveal and then the apple and then pulling off the apple and the snake jumping out. This immaculate. There's nothing wrong about this outfit. Full to the tilt, full, overflowing full.
Yeah, really quick, I want to move my score from James to 55. But to this look, this is more than just a bodysuit. And this is what she does better than most of the queens with their bodysuits. Her bodysuits have a concept. They're created. They have a story. It's not just one color and some fabric. This, sickening, you get it. Adam and Eve, snake, apple. We all know the story. The cup is overflowing. Like, come on. And the nude illusion, good. That's
Okay.
Overflowing.
Yeah, I just love Jimbo. She really doesn't like to play it safe, and this is the epitome of that. Super creative. I love it. I thought it was pulled off as well as it could have been. I'm going to give this a 94.
I think that Jimbo honestly is and even though she plays that she's not, I think that Jimbo is honestly one of the smartest queens that we've had on Drag Race, because I feel like that not only does she know what Ru wants in order to progress through these challenges. Like even when it came to some of the past acting challenges or whatever, she was like, don't think too much about it. Ru just wants to laugh. And those were the challenges she ended up winning. And then when it comes to what she does on the runway, it's always conceptual. Even though she comes out looking like a big freaking goofball, like even this here, it's just so well thought out and so smart. My cup is totally always usually overflowing with Jimbo's looks. This is no exception. Like I was so happy when I saw the Adam and Eve reveal, and I was just like, Jimbo, the cherry on the top is the snake. I know the snake is somewhere. And then when the snake popped out, I was like, I know you thought of that. Of course you did. I was like, yeah. So like that's the downside. I feel like that when it comes to Jimbo is I don't think that we're gonna get a lot of bad runways from Jimbo, but then if Jimbo ends up winning, no one's gonna get any money. Oh my God.
Someone who has not minced words on my feelings about Jimbo in general, I will say I have given him credit when there has been like runways I thought were really good. Like I really love the pop art runway from the ball a couple weeks ago. I really like this. I just have one tiny little nitpick, and I can't tell if it's the lighting or just the outfit in general, but the like the torso area doesn't really match the skin tone of the legs to me. But it's not like enough for me to like knock it anything crazy. It's a 95. I think it's a really well constructed outfit. And when I say I hate bodysuits, I hate boring bodysuits that are just a pattern. This is a good bodysuit. This is what you do with the bodysuit. You don't just put on a zipped up outfit with colors on it and that's it. Like this is how you elevate a bodysuit and make it amazing.
Yes.
This isn't a bodysuit.
It looks. Okay. Is it not? It looks like
no, darling. This is not a bodysuit. This is a full silicone suit. But okay.
Yeah. That's the reason why. That's the reason why there's that coloration difference in the stomach that almost makes it look a little like waxier. It's because it's that like it's put on almost like a vest.
Last of the girls in the competition is Alexis Michelle. Now, I was thrilled. She came out within 2 seconds. I was like, oh my God, she's doing what I think she's doing. Because this is an adaptation of a look that she went semi-viral for, I believe in 2016, when she competed in So You Think You Can Drag in New York City. She did a whole Into the Woods performance with the exact first outfit and revealed into a white gown, now adapted into a black gown. I will say, knowing the previous reference, I like the white gown a little bit better. However, I do think this is it a ball gown? Yes. Do I think this is different for Alexis in that regard? Yes. I think the reveal is so masterfully done. I'm so happy that she gets to share this look on Drag Race because I know this is something that she really enjoys. My cup is full.
Okay. So as you all know, I have been very critical of Alexa being very safe, very boring. And
Alexa, whatever.
I love that you call her Alexa.
I'm just kidding. Alexa. Oh, please don't, because mine will go off. Please don't do it.
That's why I'm saying, darling, because your Alexa goes off all the time.
It doesn't. Alexa went off one time, literally once. The 2 years we've been on this podcast, once.
It actually went off.
It actually went off once. And that's only because my laptop I turned off YouTube. But we gonna act like my Alexa go off all the time. Okay, but all right, go off. Alexis, I was very critical about, but this runway here, I was very pleased. I was very surprised. I was very happy. The RuVeal was amazing. I was like, did not expect this from her. I was very happy to see that. That's all I ask. Give me something that is not expected. Even though you ended in a ball gown, it made sense for what you did and what the reference was. So for that, I am happy and my cup is full.
I just love reveals when you don't leave anything on the ground. You know, it just looks very neat. And I'm glad that her outfit stayed in one piece. However, I do wish there was something a little bit more going on with the dress. Like, probably a different color, something. And her makeup, that eyelash on the left side, that eyelash was holding on for dear life. Holding on for dear life when they did that zoom up. I was like, no, we're gonna have to fix that. But seamless execution of the reveal. I'm gonna give her an 85. Yeah.
Oh, I thought her eyes were supposed to look like that, but maybe I misunderstood. I think this is definitely Alexis's best week ever on Drag Race. Between the Snatch Game and this runway, she did great. I'm going to give this an 89.
I am a huge theater person. I've honestly haven't been that active in theater over the past couple of years. Drag has kind of taken over that space. But that's how I got into drag was through theater. So when she came out in the witch look from Into the Woods, I automatically knew who she was when she was going down the runway. I automatically knew what the reveal was going to be Into the Witch or whatever. I like her way of doing it with this dark kind of look. I agree with you, David. I thought that what happened was she had like a white contact in one eye and a black contact in the other eye. And I thought that even though that her eye makeup was still the same on both eyes, it made one side of her one eye look like way darker than the other eye. And I thought, because I saw someone else say something too where they thought her lash looked wonky, and I couldn't tell if it was her lash or if she had another weird contact in or something. So that was something I paid attention to. But other than that, the whole look in itself was really clean. I love 2 reveals where after they've done the reveal, you can't tell where the first outfit was, or there's no remnants of the first outfit or anything. Like, just throwing this out there, that was the biggest pet peeve I had with Espana's runway reveal episode that they just had. It was just outfits stacking on top of each other, and you could see all of them underneath, and I hated that. This, you could not see the bottom of it or anything when she moved and stuff, so that was great. I give this a 95.
Like Eve, I'm also a very big theater person. I was very much getting Into the Woods to slay the boots, to serve the count, and snatch the legs. And I think she very much did that. I think this is probably my favorite Alexis Michelle runway. I can't think of anything that beats it offhandedly. I just love it. I don't really have anything critical to say about it, and because I can't really critique anything, and we don't know if the eye thing was intentional or a bad eyelash, I'm not going to critique her on it. This is overflowing.
Work.
And also, I agree with the whole, I like the reveals that don't leave anything on the stage. It gives me very much like Violet Chachki on the season 7 premiere with like the open into the like, so good.
The
so
jumpsuit
good.
into the thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Very quickly, the Fame Game runway, starting with Monica Beverly Hillz. She's got the coat revealing into the bodysuit, and then she takes off that little skirt piece. I thought it was cute or whatever. 80.
Oh me. Yeah. 75. I love the colors.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I'll give it a 45.
Okay, everybody get their cups ready. So the one little thing that I do know about this outfit is I think almost all of Monica's outfits for Drag Race this season were made by a Chicago entertainer by the name of Trisha Can, who happens to be my drag niece. So take a sip. So very happy too. She just started drag literally a year and a half ago, and now she has designs that are on Drag Race, which is kind of insane. But this was all made by Trisha Can. I like the thought process behind it, but I do think that the reveals were kind of simplistic. But I think that the outfits themselves separate all look really sickening. I just don't know if I would really be that jazzed to see one reveal into the other one. Since my niece made them, I'm going to graciously give this a 75.
So I know I'm typically the one that pulls out weird references. The blue and yellow color palette, anytime I see it, especially with this blue and yellow, always gives me Mega Man, and I cannot help it. But this is giving me like mega woman going into the freaking Roman Coliseum to go beat some bitches up. which I love. I really like this look. This is probably my second favorite thing Monica's wore this season outside of the Girl Scout look, because obviously, I honestly think this is great. I'm gonna give it a 90.
I like it. I'll give it a 70.
Work.
Naysha Lopez.
What is this
What is
picture?
this? What is this?
The wig, unforgivable.
What?
That's why I pulled this photo, because I don't know what
You're
is
shady.
happening.
You are shady.
I sure am. I sure am.
Okay, not to jump line here, but this is giving me. Have you ever seen those pictures of people getting like scanned? They have to hold their arms out to the side.
Yeah.
That's what this picture is giving.
I'm gonna be really honest here. I'm gonna plead.
Me
Okay.
too.
Come on, chopsticks.
Me too. Like, gross.
Yes.
Yeah, the wig, this like
Unforgivable.
unforgivable. Definitely.
I thought it was a wig reveal. I was like, oh, the bowl cut's gonna come off and it's gonna be some long human unit. Great, cool. No.
No. The black and white with the polka dot, and then this, it doesn't help her either. I'm gonna have to
Someone
plead.
told her several times that she was fly, hot, and sexy, and she is nothing of the sort.
I'm
Sorry.
not even sure. Yeah, this is just bad.
Well, I scored it while I was watching it, so I mean her dresses were fine. I gave it a 32.
I'm glad that you consider a 32 fine. This is a Chopiana von Choppingberg, chopsticka. That wig, someone on Twitter said that it reminded them of Tweety Bird when he turned into like the Jekyll and Hyde Tweety Bird with like that little tuft of hair on the top. I don't understand why it has a mullet tail on it too. I feel like some people just want to make things mullets that don't need to be mullets. This looks like an overgrown Mary J. Blige wig, and I'm not really a fan of it. And then also at the same time, also at the same time, for her to take the simplistic palette of black and white and still make it look just like just plain. It didn't really like pop or anything like that. It was like, I'm glad that you picked two safe colors to make 3 different outfits with, but at the same time, it didn't give me anything. And I've said this before as well. Like I know Naysha as well too. Take a drink. But at the same time, she's a sweet girl. She's just, I wouldn't consider a fashion girl. I don't consider style one of her big things. I consider her being able to wear things that people style for her a thing. So I just don't see this as having any real style or personality behind it. So I'm giving this a 15.
You know, I forgot about the mullet part because I couldn't really see it in this screenshot. And then I remember what I got the first time I saw this. I thought it was one of those like raccoon hats, right? Like with
a coonskin cap.
Yeah. That's what I got.
Like a Davy Crockett coonskin wig.
Literally. But that's what I got from it. Honestly, I don't mind bowl cuts because I think it's funny how much of a meme it has become, but it does not work with this outfit at all. This is a plead, and it is the closest plead to a broken cup I think I have ever had.
Guess what? More black and white.
This is. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, baby, go ahead. I want to hear what you have
What
to
did it
say.
reveal to before you?
No.
So this is the first layer, and then it reveals to a white and black short skirt, and then it reveals to a black and white bodysuit, and then it reveals to a white and black bodysuit.
Oh God.
So basically what happened is the colors. Yeah.
They just
So
switched
it was black
sides.
on one side. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
black on one side and white on one side, and then when she revealed to the next outfit, the other one had white on one side and black on the other side, and it just did that.
Okay.
Honestly,
Not the worst.
I lived. I did.
No.
No, I'm dead serious because every time she came out, I was like, oh my gosh, she did it. She did it again. She did it again. I don't think these are great by any means of the imagination. I'm not going to score this very high. Let me make that clear. But the gag of it, I was like, she did it again. I did kind of live. I think the construction is not the best. The wig is fine. The makeup, bad. And I love Mrs. Kasha Davis. This is getting a 70.
Oh.
That's so high.
You got a 70? Okay. I'm not going to give it a 70 because you're not going to go from black and white from the dress to a bodysuit to another bodysuit. No, you're not going to do that. I'm not doing that. And then with that makeup, absolutely not. You're not getting a 70. You're getting. You're going to have to get a 30. There you go.
I thought we were going lower than that. Oof. Mr. Talented,
Brooke.
okay.
Brooke, and this is your fame game winner. This is your fame game winner. Like,
Hey, normally I would try to come back, but you read me the house down. Good job. You ate that.
Oh my God.
Wait, because Mr. Talented has been on Brooke's head about picking Kasha Davis for this win in the fame game, and Kasha and Brooke is like, "Look, I don't care what y'all say, I don't care what she wears, I am picking
You sure did.
Kasha Davis to win." And with these looks, this is your winner. This is your king. This is who we want.
Never.
This is who you lay with?
This is who you lay with.
I have never in my life claimed to be an unbiased picker in this contest. Okay?
You know what, Brooke? You stand by what you stand on. Stand 10 down on what you believe in.
Yeah.
Be unbiased. Be very biased. No, be very biased.
Yeah.
Be very. Okay.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
most biased person. Oh.
Oh, that's hilarious. That was so funny.
honestly, her and Naysha probably went to the same designer because they just did the black and white thing. Like, it literally looks like the same. Like, it looks like the same fabric. You know that, like, polyester fabric. This wig came from a Party City costume. This wig looks like, if I touch it, if I even try and comb it too hard, it's gonna fall apart like a Barbie doll's wig. This wig is this wig. Okay, if she was gonna do this wig, it needs to be more. Like, it just looks so empty. Like, I'm sure she started to comb it and it started to fall off because this wig is unforgivable. The outfit, absolutely not. You're not gonna switch colors and get away with it. No. And then I didn't even see it till y'all brought it up, but the makeup, I'm up to plead. Like, I'm so sorry, but I just have to plead.
I would like to amend my score.
No, don't do that.
No.
No, I'm going to be amending my score to a 40.
Okay. Well,
Wait, did they go up or down?
Yeah.
It went down.
okay.
10 for each partner.
Well, I was about to agree with Logan.
Thank you, David!
No, hear me out. Hear me out. The delivery reminded me so much of when Monet had like the pussycat wig on and she pulled one off. And it was another one.
No.
She was giving that same kind of camp with her reveals of like, oh, it switched sides. Oh, it switched sides.
I think only Mr. Talented
God
and
bless
Lady
y'all
will
hard.
get this. for me, it felt very similar, but not as good as Admira Thunderpussy's dress on dress on dress on dress reveal for Drag Race Fadia.
And she did the same one a few times.
And then it revealed back to the same damn dress. Like, that's the vibe I was getting with it.
Yep.
I have 50 of the same dress in different fabric.
I reclaiming my time. I'm just saying I really enjoyed the delivery. Did I like the look itself? No. Did I like the wig? Definitely not. Did I like the makeup? No. And that made me think, oh, they must be doing all these in one day. She was rushed or something. So, like, I don't love it, but I did like the delivery. I gave it a 39.
Child, okay. I want y'all. I will let you know, Logan, you and David, y'all are we have a saying down south. We say, bless your heart. Oh yes. You say that. You say that when someone is touched.
Oh yes, I'm
familiar. Not and I don't know if it's your spirit or in the head. I feel that you both have been touched though by Miss Kasha Davis in this look, because this wig is the wig that Glenn Close's stunt double wore on the original 1993 VHS recording of 101 Dalmatians. This first outfit is the original tent that P.T. Barnum pitched his first carnival under. And everything else after that was not hemmed properly. This is a 10.
Oh my God.
This is a tent or a 10?
10. 1-0. 1-0.
You know, I'm gonna wrap this up because we spent way too much time on this one fucking look. I like the wig. I think it's comedy gold. I was getting graduation. I was getting freaking graduation gown out of the first part of the outfit. Not gonna lie. I like the switching color palette. It was funny. I don't think it was like necessary or really added anything, but it was neat. Her makeup is awful. 45.
Absolutely not. The wig, no.
That's comedy.
The wig doesn't even look like it's one wig. It looks like she took a black wig and a white wig and put them on opposite sides of her head.
The wig is leaning. The wig is leaning.
Giving Bride of Frankenstein.
David said,
if Bride and Frankenstein got their hair done at the same place that Whitney Houston did in the 80s.
Oh, Jesus. I like the delivery. It wasn't bad at 39. Like, what? That's not good either.
I know. I gave it a 39 for the delivery.
That was too generous.
I'm
Naysha and her. It was too generous.
Okay.
So last up is Darienne Lake.
Okay. That's cute dress.
This is, I am going to say, and I don't care if I get flack for this, this is the best thing Darienne Lake has ever worn on Drag Race, and I stand by
that. That's a fact.
I'll agree with that.
Thank you. Eve, I'm back. Don't worry. I'm no longer touched. I'm back.
You saw the light.
I saw the light, the ring light. Hello. No, this is the best Darienne Lake has ever looked on Drag Race. My cup is overflowing. This was so smart, so incredible. I'm so mad this wasn't on the main stage, and I honestly wish she had lasted another week. Because I think also her Snatch Game character, I think she was going to do Ethel Merman.
We got robbed!
Her or Kasha were going to do Ethel Merman. And I'm going to look it up in the meantime while Lana talks about what she thinks of this one.
She looks beautiful. I can't even, like, the wig is wigging, the dress is dressing, everything is, she looks, I mean, I missed her reveal because I had to leave, so I didn't watch it. What did she
It was by far the worst of the night.
What?
The actual process of revealing was awful. Awful. You should go and watch it.
Basically, what happened is she had a white fascinator and a white dress on, and she kind of came out like she was getting married. And then she took the white fascinator off and it changed into a black one. I don't know if she had the white one on top of the black one, and then she readjusted the dress. I don't know if I think she pulled the dress down, and it went from being a white dress into a black dress. So it kind of went from like, I'm getting married to now I'm at my husband's funeral and I took all his money kind of a situation. In essence, it was like what Silky did for Canada versus the World, when she kind of did like, oh, I'm getting married. No, I'm at his funeral kind of a thing.
Not a reference Lana knows, unfortunately, darling.
Oh, darn. That was a good dress.
I don't think at least. So I lied several times. Kasha was going to do Ethel Merman, and her backup was to do the sun.
Wait, what?
Like
that would have been great.
Like the big ball of fire in the sky.
Yeah. So Darienne's backup was actually Jennifer Coolidge. Her main, and I'm pissed we didn't get to see this. Her first choice was Elizabeth Taylor.
Robbed
of that. Sorry, Lana, go ahead.
That could have been cute.
That would have been cute. I like this. I like this black look. I didn't see the white look. I'll go back and look at it. But for right now, if I have to revise it, it'll change next week. But for right now, I will give this an 80 because she looks beautiful.
I just watched her reveal it, and it was kind of suspicious, I'll say. The only thing I don't like is that I could kind of see the black dress underneath, and even when she revealed, you could still see like piece of the white. Like I wish it was just like completely gone. But this is the best she's ever looked. I'm gonna give her an 85. It was good.
Yeah, she does look really great. I think her first look was pretty good too. It kind of reminded me of Alexis's wedding dress. But really, that if I'm gonna bump up Kasha Davis for a good actual reveal, then I got to bring her down because that was a very clunky reveal. I don't know what went wrong, but I'm giving her a 50.
David, it was the exact same fabric as Alexis's wedding gown.
Yeah, I was like, she borrowed this, didn't she?
For me, I agree. I feel like that the reveal was just a hair clunky and just a little simple for my taste. I do agree as well, though. I think that this is the best that Darienne has ever looked. Like one of the best outfits that I've ever seen her in. But I do also not like the fact as well that I did see some of the white peeking under the black when she did the reveal, and with the two colors being complete opposites, it was really like apparent when you saw the white under the black, and vice versa. I'll give this a 75.
So I have held my tongue during everyone's discussions on this particular outfit because I wanted to shock all of you immediately. In my opinion, I do agree this is the best Darienne has ever looked on Drag Race. This is an all-time look for me. I honestly think this is borderline impeccable. I'm not judging her for the runway, like the actual art of taking the hair white off. I'm judging the looks themselves. The looks themselves are two of my favorite things I've ever seen on the show. I think this is probably one of, if not my favorite gowns I've ever seen on the show. Or I guess dress. I don't know the difference between a gown and a dress, honestly. But whatever it is, it's still my favorite of either or. So obviously, Cindy, the TV is leaking. The cup is fucking overflowing. God, we got robbed of this on the main stage.
I mean, it is on the main stage,
but like on the main stage, like on the actual show.
It's like the off-Broadway version.
Right.
And welcome back to another 3-hour episode of The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we talk about all stars.
Continue to talk about it, but we just move along. Doesn't have to be. We can be 2 minutes and 45 minutes. 2 hours and 45 minutes. Let's go. Lip sync time.
No, there are other things that happen.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
So we have the top 3, which are Alexis, Jaymes, and Jimbo. The bottom 2 are Kahanna Montrese and Jessica Wilde, with Kandy and Lala safe. I agreed with all of these placements. The top, the bottom, and safe. I agreed.
Yeah.
I would have swapped out Jimbo, but I'm aware I'm in the minority on that.
Well, I'm not talking about the winner yet, darling.
No, I didn't say for the winner. I said I would have swapped out Kandy and Jimbo, but I'm aware I'm in the minority.
Oh. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Well, the challenge winner, 3 out of 5, a 60%. Jimbo wins. I am not mad at this win because I can justify it. I think I could have seen any of Alexis, Jaymes, or Jimbo winning this challenge. For me, I would have given the win to Jaymes Mansfield. I thought Jennifer Coolidge was the most well-rounded character with the best improvisation skills on that Snatch Game. And that's just me.
I concur.
I would say if I was giving it to anyone other than Jimbo, I would be giving it to Alexis.
Same.
Yeah. If other than Jimbo,
And that's just yeah.
For Jaymes, it's her runway. It's her runway.
Right. That's the only thing would be the difference for me is between Alexis and Jimbo's runway. I mean, James's runway. I would prefer Alexis's runway.
Fair and valid and understandable. Nothing much happens in Untucked other than Kahanna's basically like Jessica shouldn't be in the bottom. Kahanna all but gives up, which was unfortunate to see. But I mean, if I was in her position too, seeing that Jessica was in the bottom next to me when Jessica shouldn't have been in the bottom and kind of just was the 6th best of the week out of 7, like, I don't know that I would have acted differently than what Kahanna did. I'm going to be honest. Like, I wouldn't have thrown in the towel, obviously, but I would have been like, we'll see what it is.
You're being a realist, and I feel like
absolutely, and that's how I operate in my everyday life. It's like I was the worst in this challenge. I want to be here. I want to continue to show my drag and show that I've elevated myself since my previous season, but I understand that I was the worst in this challenge. So keep me, but I get it.
I feel like that's what annoyed me a little bit with Miss Kasha Davis being sent home. Because for me, I feel like that I would have still been going off of track record. And I think Jessica almost used it as an excuse of her being like, well, I'm okay with my placement regardless of what happens, but I do want to be here. And I feel like that if I was in that position, I'd feel the same way. Like I did the worst, so I'm being a realist. I know it's possibly my time to go. And if I do, I'm not going to cry about it or whatever. I just know it's my time to go. But it doesn't mean I want to go. I still want to be here. And I feel like that's what Miss Kasha Davis was saying, and they almost penalized her for that as being like, well, no, you're not begging enough, or you're not showing me enough fight. And I'm just kind of like, it makes me think of when Delta Work was talking about having a lip sync for her life, and she's like, it makes me think you want to get down on my knees and be like, no, pick me, no, pick me, no, pick me.
Please.
Yeah. I'm just like, at the end of the day, I could do that all day and all night more than the other people. Like Monica and Naysha cried their eyes out. They still went home, so
at the end of the day, it doesn't fucking matter. I have to quote Heidi.
Yeah.
I do agree. I feel like she was just making peace with it. Like, look, if it's me, it's me. I have to get to that point and like everybody, they've been basing it on track record thus far. And so when she looks back at the writing was on the wall for her. And instead of going in there like I don't deserve to go because I did so much. Who are you trying to? Why are you doing that when the track record is what it is? And so I think Kahanna was kind of just like, you know what? I don't want to go. Y'all know I don't want to go. If I'm blessed, I would love to stay, but I get it when I get it. If it's me, it's me. I'm at peace with this, and I think that was more so for her than for anybody else because. You don't want to be on TV having breakdowns and moments and things like that where you kind of like, because she did that already. She don't want to do it, keep doing it, and being that girl every week. Like,
you don't want to be Alexis.
You don't want to be that girl. You want to be like, look, when it's my time, and I'm gonna go out with grace, and then I'm gonna go win the fan game. That's what I'm gonna do. So I like that in her, and I wish other people would just know when it's your time, it's your time.
For me, it did feel a little bit like she gave up, and I get why. Because I think it was more of a gracious thing than like, I want to go home, whatever. It's not like she Mayhem Miller herself and voted for herself, But, they haven't went off track record the entire season, because if they did, Mrs. Kasha Davis would have stayed over Darienne Lake. So we've seen there have been times this season where the track record didn't really matter in the grand scheme of the vote, but I get why she did what she did. But it didn't feel good. You know what I mean? It was a little sad, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we get Jimbo changing into God knows what. I was like, what the fuck is this outfit? I don't know. Anyway, we find out that the lip sync assassin
is motherfucking Jasmine Kennedy, which
Girl.
I was
Wow.
so happy. I was so
This is
happy.
your moment.
Good.
and Jasmine Kennedy lip syncs to Hallucinate by Dua Lipa,
Jasmine Kennedy.
featuring Jimbo on the stage.
She had a good moment
So, there's something about
When
when she dipped her head down and that wig fell out.
The wig came off.
you think that's good?
Yeah, I like that.
Oh, my favorite moment
It
of
was
Jimbo was
cute.
the first 5 seconds when she almost tripped the color.
What if she had fallen on her face?
I would have
Like
cackled.
what?
I mean, if she would have played her off like I meant to do that, then great. I was trying to fall and flipped it around.
Have y'all
and
seen
then-
the conspiracy theories that people think Jimbo is just faking that she's a bad
No.
lip syncer?
It's no. Mm-mm.
There's no. What would be the point
What's the
of that?
reason? What's
So
the
like
reason?
there would be like a gag at the finale or some bullshit like that. Like that's
To
I'm
lose
not saying that's what I
$30,000.
believe in. I'm saying that's what people are saying.
I'd be like,
She's
she's giving up money for free just so she can hopefully
Right?
make it to the finals and be like, oh,
Could
now I'm
you
gonna get 0.
Imagine
I
Jimbo
can-
doing all that faking,
Mhm.
and then get to finale and
It's like
slay
pop
the
lock
lip
and
sync.
it's
I would
Imagine she
die.
pulls
eight
some like
counts.
literally,
Eight
and like she pulls out like the Ellie Diamond 8 count.
I would gag.
That's the gravity-defying moves in her lip sync.
Right, she starts flipping.
She just
and
does a
twirling.
split. It's like
Yeah,
what?
she doesn't. She doesn't. No, she does like a Laganja, like runs off stage and then does a split from the like. See, like a Tandy Demonstration free. You're like, what is happening?
Like, what?
Could
That
you
works.
imagine
I can see
a
that.
3-season long con just to win All Stars 8?
Again, if that were the case, she would not even be in contention for one of the smarter queens. She would be the smartest.
The smartest queen.
Oh, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Which is kind of why I'm hoping that it's the case. Like I low-key am like, but wait, can you just like
Delusion.
delusion?
Oh,
What? But
If-
see, and I think that possibly could end up happening though. But I feel like it wouldn't be. I feel like that it could possibly happen, but it wouldn't be possibly to like that extent. I feel like maybe he'll just like keep losing all these lip syncs and then make it to the finals and then win that final lip sync and be like, "Yay, Jimbo, you finally won one, and it was the last one."
It's like
That
Trixie,
kind of a
Trixie
thing.
having a lip
I
sync
think-
win by technicality over Kennedy.
Pretty much.
The
Yeah,
fact
I
that
think.
they lip sync win over Kennedy Davenport hurts.
Mhm.
I
I
remember
have a
someone telling me
controversial
that.
opinion, and I'm not going to share it. Mr. Talented, you were going to say something.
Go.
I think what you said, Eve, is exactly the storyline the producers are going for. Like she rightfully she has lost all the lip syncs, but then she pulls out, like, she doesn't pull out anything big, but she wins the last one. And that conspiracy, I can see it if it was for a queen that was really good at lip syncing, but because it's Jimbo, I don't think that's the case. I think she's trying her best, and I'm applauding her for that, but I just don't think.
Anyway, the Jasmine Kennedy show. The whole time I was just like, Jimbo, move. I want to see Jasmine.
They didn't show her. I feel like they didn't show her a lot or as much as I thought that they were going to edit wise.
I just think Jimbo was everywhere, and they did the best that they could with the footage that they had. Honestly,
he was just in front of everyone.
Literally, she stood in the front of the stage and just moved around left and right. And Jasmine was trying to do her thing, and Jimbo was just in front of her the whole time.
Yeah. But the one thing I do want to commend Jasmine Kennedy on is she is still fucking phenomenal on that stage. That back tuck into the delayed split that she did, I mean, come on.
I really like that.
Very beautiful, very clean, very clean. I was like,
I'm very happy that now Jasmine Kennedy has a winning lip sync record.
As she should.
She honestly should. She honestly should. I would love to see her come back for an All Stars.
I think that's exactly what we're priming her to do.
Give her a few years.
Give her all.
I think she could come back right now and make a finale.
Yeah, I could see her make a finale. I wouldn't see her win, but I could easily see her make a finale.
I could see her getting like the chop right before the final lip sync.
But that's
yeah.
I feel like a year, 2 year. Give them like a year, 2 year. Like you want to see some growth. I just don't want to see the same thing from season 14. Like I want to see some growth. Yeah, you might have the looks, but you still need to have some sort.
Well, I want to. She as well is someone I think very similarly to Kahanna. She's been in the Vegas show a lot, and I think that's giving her a lot of like boosted confidence and experience that she didn't have otherwise. Plus, I don't think she would have any of the trepidations that she had now that she is fully out and actively transitioning.
Yeah,
I think that's another big thing. Is like I think she
will
that would be in her final form, and I think she would come back in as just this confident bad bitch.
Yeah.
If they bring back Jasmine, selfishly, I would want them to bring back Maddie as well. Even if just because I love that lip sync to begin. That was my favorite lip sync last year. But like just in general, I love them both. I loved season 14. I want all of them to come back. Like, literally all of them.
I would love to see to see Olivia back. I feel like Olivia was doing so great, and then she just kind of ran out of steam, like right by the end. And I was like, I feel like she really had some clean, nice stuff. And she's been eating in the ballroom scene because she's a Miyake Mugler now. So like,
no, thank you.
I'm like,
no, thank you.
Ooh. Aja LaBeija.
Aja. Anyway, no one goes home.
Yeah.
Great.
Which is
we knew it was gonna happen. Like they tried to edge us, but no, we know nobody's gonna know.
Oh,
now it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder next week. Is this only because this week Heidi went home, or are they gonna send 2 people home next week?
I believe it's just because Heidi.
No, it's just because she went home.
Yeah, it was just because of Heidi.
They're on track because it would have been 7 people next week anyway.
Gotcha.
Plus, there are 7 parts in Joan, the Unauthorized Musical, which I am so fucking excited about. I love Joan Crawford. I cannot wait.
Joan.
My body is shaking. Also, the entire musical has already been posted on Spotify. So if you want to go listen to it, it's already on there.
Well,
whatever intern is running the Drag Race socials and whatnot this year is doing a bad job because they fully leaked Jasmine Kennedy's Lip Sync Assassin entrance.
Somebody's getting fired.
So,
musicals are very hit or miss, so we'll see how this turns out. Obviously optimistic, but we'll see.
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us for another almost 3-hour episode of The Cup. This one I'm not splitting. I don't care enough. We're gonna let it happen. I'm gonna today. I had to get one more in there before we closed out. Thank you for joining us. Follow all of us on Twitter because all of us are individually great. If you want to hear more about Chicago drag things, follow Eve. Follow us on Twitter at The Cup Pod. That is different and new. We changed it. It's at The Cup Pod. Things are coming. Be warned. We're all exhausted. Goodbye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Let
Au revoir.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Lady, bye.